Chapter 441. Twin Lakes Island. Patriarch Immortal Mansion. A void channel suddenly appeared. In the void passage, a white figure slowly walked out. It was Chen Daoxian. Seeing Chen Daoxian come back alone, Qin Zhan's pale face suddenly showed a look of joy. He knew that Chen Daoxian must have won. What about people? Qin Zhan said impatiently. Burned. Burn. Qin Zhan was stunned, not knowing how to answer. Chen Daoxian said to himself, let's wait here for a while, your senior sister should be here in a while. Chen Daoxian understood the laws of space and was able to teleport, but Fei Chenxue had no such ability. Chenyuan Jianzong is 1,000,000 miles away from Chen's house, and the other party has to spend time flying over. Although Fei Chengshu's strength has reached the level of a second-layer real monarch in the world, and her escaping speed is much faster than that of the ordinary nascent soul real monarch, but at a distance of millions of miles, the other party has to spend a stick of incense to get there. From this, we can see how fast Chen Daoxian solved the black armored cultivator, and it took less than a stick of incense. While the two were talking, a ray of light flew towards the two of them at a high speed. Chen Daoxian waved his hand, and the mountain protection formation dissipated instantly. When the light of escape descended, it was Fei Chenxue. Fei Chenxue saw Chen Daoxian, but did not see the black armored cultivator. She had a vague guess in her heart, and she immediately breathed a sigh of relief. What about the others? Died. Chen Daoxian said calmly. Hearing this, Fei Chengsu frowned, and immediately, her brows stretched, and speaking, although the black armored cultivator was strong, it was not strong enough to make Fei Chengsu feel hopeless. With the strengths of her and Qin Zhan, they will definitely not be able to fight against each other, but they can choose to leave the Chenyuan sword sect with Yu Huangzhong. What really troubled Fei Chenxue were Xiao Yuhua and Wuji Xianmen behind the black armored cultivator. As the suzerain of Chenyuan sword sect, Fei Chenxue knew better than Chen Daoxian how strong Wuji Xianmen really was. Wuji Xianmen is not like ordinary first-class forces. There are only 1 or 2 Yuanshan Daojun in the door. Although concubine Chenxue didn't know how many Yuanshan engines there were in Wuji Xianmen, the other party definitely had Creation Realm Daojun, and there was more than one. Possessing the Daojun of Creation Realm means that Wuji Xianmen has its own army of Dao soldiers. If the Dao protection team is for ordinary monks to protect Dao, then the Dao soldier army is to protect Dao for the sect of Wuji Xianmen. From this point of view, Wuji Xianmen has already stepped into the threshold of top power, and it is by no means comparable to ordinary first-class sections. Killing the black-armored cultivator is already considered a revenge with Wuji Xianmen. A revenge is a revenge. On the side, Qin Zhan said angrily, it's a big deal, let's retreat to the real demon world. I don't believe it, Wuji Xianmen dares to chase to the real demon realm. Say something mad. Concubine Chenxue glared at Qin Zhan, then turned to look at Chen Daoxian. Chen Lang, what do you think? After pondering for a moment, Chen Daoxian said, I think Xiao Yuhua will suppress this matter. Hearing this, Fei Chenxue immediately reacted, you mean Yu Huangzhong? That's right, Chen Daoxian nodded. The other party has spent so much energy just for the pure yang immortal artifact of Yu Huangzhong, and the other party is so eager to seek out the immortal artifact, he wants to go to serve in the extraterritorial battlefield of Liangjiyuan. With Emperor Yuzhong in hand, his strength can be improved by leaps and bounds, and the safety of going to the battlefield outside the territory will naturally be greatly improved. Therefore, for Emperor Yuzhong, he will definitely take the initiative to suppress Xian Ye's death. Although the black armored cultivator is a member of the Wuji Xianmen, his status in the Wuji Xianmen is not high, which can be seen from the fact that he calls the master of Xiao Yuhua. Maybe, the other party is not even a disciple trained by Wuji Xianmen, but a guest who was recruited from loose cultivation. This kind of thing is not uncommon. Why did the sect and the Xiuxian family occupy so many resources in the Phoenix Meteor realm, but the most numerous scattered cultivators hardly resisted? It's not that they don't want to resist, it's just that there are a few powerful people in the loose cultivators who have been decreed by the major sects and the cultivator family as Keqing. In this way, without the strong taking the lead, there is no way to talk about resistance. Qin Zhan frowned and said, but even if the other party presses this matter down, it doesn't make any sense. We don't need Wuji Xianmen, only Xiao Yuhua alone, we may not be able to stop it. Moreover, Xiao Yuhua, as a direct disciple of Wuji Xianmen, must have more than one Yuanshan Daojun under his command. If it is a normal Yuanshan Daojun, he is afraid that there will be a Yuanshan Daojun on the third floor of the world. It's not necessarily meaningless, Chen Daoxian said sternly, look. Speaking, Chen Daoxian shook the bronze bead on his right hand, and immediately, 5 one-star Taoist soldiers appeared in front of everyone. This is a Taoist soldier. Concubine Chenxua looked at Chen Daoxian in surprise. There is a record of the Chenyuan sword sect who once went to Liangjiuan to fight, but there are not many records of the Chenyuan sword sect. Although Chenyuan Jianzong participated in the Liangjiuan War thousands of years ago, he only participated in the war as cannon fodder. Naturally, there is very little understanding of the treasures that can only be possessed by Yuanshan Daojins such as Dao soldiers. To be able to take a glimpse and record it, it is already the seniors of the sect who are very responsible. Yes, it is the Taoist soldiers. Chen Daoxian nodded. Qin Zhan was a little confused and asked, what is a Taoist soldier? As he said that, he immediately covered the 5 Taoist soldiers present with his divine sense. The next moment, Qin Zhan was taken aback. This. He pointed to the 5 Taoist soldiers and said in surprise, are they humans or puppets? Qin Zhan originally thought that the Dao soldiers were puppets, but he used his spiritual sense to investigate and found that these 5 Dao soldiers actually had spiritual fluctuations. This time, he was so frightened that his soul fluctuated, which meant that the 5 silent people in front of him were not puppets, but lives. But they looked so similar to puppets, except for their appearance. But for things like appearance, for the refiner, it's not just how to refine it. Only the divine soul is unique to life. The 5 people in front of them can never be called puppets, but it seems that they cannot be called people either. Dao soldiers. At this moment, Qin Zhan somewhat understood the meaning of the word Taoist. This is a special kind of puppet life. Senior sister, is this soldier also on the battlefield outside the 2 realms abyss? That's right, concubine Chenxua nodded. It is rumored that Dao soldiers were first invented by a master craftsman from Chuanbao Pavilion. Creation cultivators can create spirituality out of thin air. This refining master uses spirituality, coupled with special enlightenment techniques, to create a special life like a Taoist soldier. It is precisely because of the existence of Dao soldiers that my human cultivator can barely hold the 2 realms. Hearing this, Qin Zhan was shocked in his heart. He seemed a little unwilling to believe it and asked in doubt, is the Taoist soldiers really that strong? On the side, Chen Daoxian smiled, you will know if it is strong or not. Saying that, he ordered one of the soldiers, Bronze 3. Immediately, a Taoist soldier walked out of the queue. I didn't see him perform any action, I saw a colorful Daoyu suddenly looking at Qin Zhan's head. Boom! With the head shot of the colorful Daoyu, Qin Zhan was directly pressed to the ground, and he couldn't even move a little finger. Seeing Qin Zhan lying on the ground, a look of pleading for mercy appeared in his eyes. Chen Daoxuan's thoughts moved, and the Taoist soldier named Tong San immediately withdrew to the colorful Taoist realm. Feeling the pressure dissipated, Qin Zhan regained control over his body and quickly got up from the ground. This is a Dao domain spell. He is a Dao soldier, and he can actually cast special spells developed on the basis of the Dao domain. Qin Zhan was very excited, which was completely different from those puppets in the Qianji temple. Dao soldiers can not only use spells flexibly, but also use magical tools. Even their cultivation base and the degree of mastery of spells will become stronger with the passage of time. Hearing this, Qin Zhan couldn't bear it any longer. Then what's the difference between them and monks? There's really not much difference except that it's not a viviparous one. Qin Zhan. As if thinking of something, Qin Zhan said again, then where did you get this soldier? Bought. Bought? Fei Chenxua frowned, she couldn't figure out how such a precious treasure could be bought at will. Just in the Chuanbao Pavilion you said, it took 200,000 drops of the power of creation to buy it. How much? 200,000? Qin Zhan hurriedly asked, where did you get so much power of good fortune? You lent me more than 2,000 drops of power of good fortune. Before he could finish speaking, Chen Daoxian threw a storage ring at him. Qin Zhan's consciousness swept away, and there were 23 jade bottles inside, and each jade bottle was filled with 100 drops of the power of creation, exactly 2,300 drops. The two are cleared. I'm not asking you to collect debts. I know. Chen Daoxian said casually, I just tell you, I do not lack the power of creation now, and in the future, we will have more power of creation. Hearing this, Fei Chenxue faintly guessed something. What do you mean? Chen Daoxian smiled mysteriously and said nothing. Leave Shuanghu Island. On a spirit boat. Fei Chenxue looked at Qin Zhan and asked with concern, is your injury okay? It's okay, the black-armored cultivator just grabbed me and threatened you, but it didn't hurt me. Speaking of this, Qin Zhan changed his words, it's just. Just what? Qin Zhan sighed and said, Chen Daoxuan's strength has improved too fast, it has only been 3 years, and he can kill even Yuanchen Daojun. At this speed, I am afraid that he will reach the strength of Tianzuan, it will not take long. Senior sister, do you think he will keep his promise and marry you? Hear this. Fei Chenxue rested her cheeks in one hand, looked at the rapidly receding clouds outside the spirit boat, and said with certainty, yes, I believe him. Seeing the appearance of Fei Chenxue, Qin Zhan couldn't say anything. It is true that Chen Daoxuan's strength has improved too fast. Regardless of whether the military is considered an external force, it is definitely Chen Daoxuan's comprehensive strength. Otherwise, wouldn't the monks also borrow external force when they use magic tools? To a certain extent, Dao soldiers and magic weapons are somewhat similar. It's just that Dao soldiers do not need to be controlled by the master, and are not affected by the master's own cultivation and realm. The magic weapon is different, and in the hands of different monks, the power exerted is completely different. Watching concubine Chenxue and Qin Zhan leave, Chen Daoxian went non-stop and found Chen Dalian, the acting patriarch of the Chen family. Seeing Chen Daoxian, Chen Dalian immediately complained, Patriarch, you are finally back, a black-armored cultivator has come to the family, I already know about this, you don't have to worry about it, the other party has already been killed by me. Ah. Seeing Chen Daoxuan's resolute appearance, Chen Dalian nodded weakly, yes, I understand. I have a few things to tell you. Patriarch, please speak. Chen Dalian nodded seriously. The first thing is to spread the news to Wan Xinghai. Within a month, I will marry concubine Chen Shui. What? Chen Dalian was startled, but didn't you say before that there are still many people in Chenyuan Jianzong who disagree with your marriage with concubine Chen Shui? Do you need to take a long-term view on this matter? That's too late. Chen Daoxian shook his head, just do as I ordered. At the double cultivation ceremony between me and concubine Chen Shui a month later, if anyone objects, then go to hell. When he said this, Chen Daoxian was murderous. The last time Chen Dalian saw Chen Daoxian so angry was when Chen Xianhe was kidnapped by Jiang Taiyuan, the head of the Jiang family. It's just that the grass on Jiang Taiyuan's grave is several feet tall. This time, I don't know who will be unlucky again. Chen Dalian thought silently. The second thing, I want to fully implement the spirit stone coins in Wangxinghai and Izumo. What? If it is said that Chen Daoxian and Fei Chenxue are combined, it is only against the Chenyuan sword sect, and Chen Daoxuan's move will offend Wan Xinghai and all the large and small cultivating families of Izumo. At present, the Chen family has only fully implemented the use of spirit stone coins in Sangzhou. Moreover, the way the Chen family implemented Lingshi coins in Sangzhou was not forced, but a gentle method of boiling frogs in warm water. But this time, Chen Daoxian wanted to push the spirit stone coins on a large scale. It is conceivable that once this matter is not handled properly, the entire Wan Xinghai and the newly stabilized Izumo kingdom will be in chaos. Coupled with the marriage between Chen Daoxian and concubine Chen Shui, there was dissatisfaction within the Chenyuan sword sect. Chen Daoxuan's move was really too radical. almost offended Wan Xinghai and Izumo. Where did the patriarch get the confidence? At this moment, even though Chen Daolian had immense trust in Chen Daoxian, he still couldn't help but have this question. Of course Chen Daoxian could see Chen Daolian's doubts, but he didn't want to explain too much, and said directly, "The two things I said can be done at the same time. You don't have to worry. The promotion of spirit stone coins is not only my Chen family's contribution, Qianyuan Jianzong will also endorse my Chen family." Yes. Hearing this, Chen Daolian finally breathed a sigh of relief. Although the Chen family is now known as the first immortal cultivator family in Wanxinghai, compared with the ruler of Qianyuan Jianzong, both in terms of prestige and strength, the two are too far behind. If the Chen family came to push the spirit stone coins to various families, it is estimated that not many people would buy it. But with the endorsement of Qianyuan Jianzong, things are very different. This is the prestige that Qianyuan Jianzong has ruled Wanxinghai for thousands of years. This kind of prestige, even if Chen Daoxuan's strength surpasses Qianyuan Jianzong now, cannot be compared with it in a short period of time. The alliance between the Chen family and Qianyuan Jianzong is precisely to use the prestige of Qianyuan Jianzong. Now, the background and strength of Qianyuan Jianzong are nothing to him. Except for the Yuhuang Bell, a pure yang fairy, there is not much in Qianyuan Jianzong that can make him look at it. Chapter 442. And also. Chen Daoxuan's eyes flickered. You take out the mind map of all the Lingshire mines in my Chen family. Lingshire mind map? Chen Daolian was slightly taken aback. She didn't know why Chen Daoxian wanted this thing. For the Chen family today, the amount of spirit stones has become a number. Its only function to the Chen family is to serve as an acceptance for the spirit stone coin, and it plays a role in enhancing the trust of the outside world in the spirit stone coin. As for the circulation of spirit stones as currency, for today's Zhangzhou, it is almost zero. Because the current Zhangzhou, the spirit stone coins have been fully used for a long time. The first thing the monks from other states did when they came to Zhangzhou was to find the bank of the Chen family and exchange the spirit stone they carried with them for spirit stone coins, so that they could spend normally in Zhangzhou. Moreover, with the continuous expansion of Zhangzhou's foreign trade scale, the influence of Lingshire coins has also grown. In Yuanshan Xiancheng, Jingzhou, and even Taizhou, which does not deal with the Chen family, and Zhenan Xiancheng and Izumo, the new currency of Lingshire coins is used on a small or large scale. It can be said that as a new type of currency, Lingshire coin has already had a foundation for comprehensive promotion in Wanxinghai. As for the Izumo kingdom, since it has just been recovered, if you want to fully promote the spirit stone coins, you have to rely on the decree of Qianyuan Jianzong. Chen Daolian hurriedly took out a jade slip from the storage ring, handed it over respectfully, and said, "Patriarch, this is the map of all the spiritual stone mines that my Chen family currently has. Among them, Zhangzhou has a total of 17 large-scale spirit stone mines, all of which have been mastered by my Chen family. There are 174 medium-sized spirit stone mines, 163 of which are mastered by my Chen family. Small-scale spirit stone mines. And Jingzhou, Taizhou, Yuzhou. Chen Daolian has a lot of treasures in her family. She has counted the spiritual stone mines that the Chen family has earned and robbed from other immortal cultivators through various means such as trade, force, and diplomacy over the years. It took a long time for Chen Daolian to report all the spirit stone mines in the Chen family's possession. According to Chen Daolian, the Chen family currently owns a total of 437 spirit stone mines, including 41 large-scale spirit stone mines, 236 medium-sized spirit stone mines, and 100 small-scale spirit stone mines. 60 seats. It can be seen from the data. The spirit stone mines mainly mastered by the Chen family are medium-sized spirit stone mines. According to the reserves of a medium-sized spirit stone mine in the range of 100 million to 300 million tons, all the spirit stones of a medium-sized spirit stone mine are mined, and there are about 200 billion to 600 billion. If it was all refined into the power of creation, there would be 20,000 to 60,000 drops. After all, maybe only one Dao soldier can be purchased. But don't forget, the Qin family now has a total of 437 spirit stone mines, even if the small spirit stone mines are thrown away. There are 277 large-scale spiritual stone mines and medium-sized spiritual stone mines alone. If there are so many spirit stone mines, if they are all mined, there will be nearly 200 trillion light spirit stones. If they are all refined into the power of good fortune, there will be at least nearly 20 million drops of the power of good fortune. Chen Daoxian silently looked at the mineral map of the spirit stone mine handed by Chen Daolian, and while looking at it, he calculated how much the power of creation could be extracted if all the spirit stone reserves of the Chen family were extracted. It's not that I don't know, and when I figure it out, even Chen Daoxian himself was taken aback. 20 million drops of the power of creation. Such a large amount of wealth, even if the Qianyuan sword sect was packaged and sold, it would not be able to sell at this price. Chen Daoxian thought in shock. Don't look at Qianyuan Jianzong's pure yang immortal artifact, it seems incredible. But in Chuanbao Pavilion, pure yang immortal artifact is not a treasure that cannot be bought. Although Chen Daoxian didn't know what the price of the pure yang immortal artifact was in Chuanbao Pavilion, it was not so expensive to sell 20 million spirit stones. It turns out that my Chen family is already so rich. Chen Daoxian muttered. Hearing this, Chen Daolian on the side also sighed. Yes, my Chen family no longer have to worry about spiritual stones and cultivation resources, and all of this is because of you, the patriarch. Speaking of this, Chen Daolian looked at Chen Daoxian with a look of reverence. Chen Daoxian knew that Chen Daolian had misunderstood what he meant, but he was too lazy to explain. He waved his hand and smiled and said, "Okay, don't be flattering, they'll explain your business, let's do it first." "Yes, Patriarch." Chen Daolian nodded, and immediately disappeared in front of Chen Daoxian in an instant. Watching Chen Daolian leave, Chen Daoxian's consciousness instantly enveloped the entire Shuanghu Island, and then, he flashed and disappeared in place. The capital of Su State. In a majestic fairy palace. Xian Yi is dead. Inside the immortal palace, a young monk wearing a golden python robe was sitting in front of an antique desk and said coldly. The words fall. His mana lightly tapped on a dark wood, which was Yi Tianqi's hiding place, Jiuyo Soul Cultivation Wood. What? With a scream, Yi Tianqi's pale figure instantly appeared in front of Xiao Yuhua. Seeing Xiao Yuhua with an angry face, Yi Tianqi did not dare to defend himself, and immediately knelt on the ground and kowtowed. "Dao Jun, spare your life, Dao Jun, spare your life. You killed one of my generals. Yi Tianqi, how do you want to die?" Xiao Yuhua said quietly. "Dao Jun, calm down, the younger generation will never deceive Dao Jun. The strongest of the Qianyuan sword sect really only has the strength of the second-level real monarch of the world, and they do not have primordial spirit." Yi Tianqi suddenly thought of something. Could it be that Fei Chenxue has broken through to the primordial spirit stage? Humph. You still want to lie to me? Xiao Yuhua's face sank, and he immediately waved his hand to kill him, but was stopped by the old man beside him. And many more. Old Wu. Xiao Yuhua looked at the other party puzzled. He killed Xian Yi. I know, Old Wu nodded, but now that Xian Yi is dead, killing him can only help out, and it will not help the young master's plan to seize Qianyuan sword sect's pure yang immortal artifact. Hearing the words Chunyang immortal artifact, Xiao Yuhua calmed down immediately. This time to serve in Liangjiuan is an agreement reached between Wuji Xianmen and Tianzuan City. He was a mere disciple of the Promise Immortal sect, and he was powerless to resist. He was able to delay his service period until now, and it was his privilege that he could only have because of his identity as a direct disciple. Change to other Yuanshan Dao Jun, as early as the first time of breaking through Yuanshan period, must go to Liangjiuan to serve. The fact that Yuanshan Dao Jun went to serve in the battlefield outside the two realms was personally decided by Taiyan Zunqing. In the Fengyun realm, this is an iron law, and it has always been undisputed. Don't look at him, Xiao Yuhua, who is calling the wind and the rain in the capital of Su Kingdom. He is still the number one person, but facing Tianzuan City, even Wuji Xianmen doesn't have much room for bargaining. Not to mention that he is a direct disciple of Wuji Xianmen. But as the front line of Fengyun realm and true demon realm, Liang Jiuan is not so good. According to the statistics of the cultivators in the Fengyun realm, the Yuanshan Dao Jun who just broke through has the highest damage rate in the battlefield outside the two realms. It seems that the demons of the real demon world like to hunt down these Yuanshan Dao Jun who have just broken through. On the contrary, those nascent soul cultivators, the realm demons just hunted and killed them after seeing them, and generally would not take the initiative to find them if they didn't see them. But those Yuanshan Dao Jun who just came from Fengyun realm are different. Although these people are strong, compared with the famous old Taoist monarchs, the gap is so big that it is unreasonable. But the income from swallowing this kind of monk is not much lower than the income from swallowing the old Dao Jun. This is why the real monsters in the real demon world like to find trouble with the new Dao Jun in the Fengyun realm. For the world monsters, human monks, especially those with advanced cultivation, are a great supplement. Devouring one Yuanshan Dao Jun is often more profitable than devouring 1,000 or even 10,000 Yuanyingzhen. Faced with such a temptation, how could those high-level demons in the real demon world be able to hold back? As a direct disciple of Wuji Xianmen, Xiao Yuhua is more aware of the terrifying battlefield outside the realm than other Yuanshan Dao Jun. Because of this, he spared no expense to cast Dao soldiers, search for various high-level magic weapons, and enhance his own strength. But in the final analysis, he is only a third-layer Taoist in the world. Although his strength is much stronger than ordinary Dao Jun, Xiao Yuhua has no sense of security in the face of those fierce high-level demons in the real demon world. Not to mention, his Wuji Immortals sect has a direct disciple who is much better than him, and even the sect even lent him a pure Yang immortal artifact to protect him for his safety. As a result, the other party died in the outer battlefield, and even the pure Sun immortal artifact that Zhongmen gave him to protect his body was also lost in the outer battlefield. After learning about this, Xiao Yuhua was extremely reluctant to go to the battlefield outside Liangjiuan. He knew the senior brother who died in Daoxing. When the other party went to Liangjiuan at that time, he was already a fourth-level Daoist in the world, plus a pure Yang fairy weapon to protect his body. It can be said that even if the opponent encounters a fifth-layer Daoist in the world, he will still have the power to fight. But just like that, the senior brother died. This incident was a big blow to Xiao Yuhua, who was only on the second floor of the world realm at that time, and once caused a serious psychological shadow to him. He is afraid of death. That's right, he is cultivated to the point where he has 10,000 years of life, and of course Xiao Yuhua doesn't want to die. But the extraterritorial battlefield had to go. That's why Xiao Yuhua is so desperate to collect money to enrich his strength. You know, when Yi Tianqi brought him the news that Qianyuan sword sect possessed the pure Yang immortal artifact, it almost made Xiao Yuhua go crazy with joy. He wanted to make a big splash, lead someone to kill Qianyuan Jianzong directly, and then the other party's pure Yang immortal artifact. But Wu Lao stopped him because of the ban issued by Taiyan Zunqing. On the occasion of serving, violating the prohibition of Tianzuan City, if it is discovered, it is really a dead end. In desperation, he had to send Xian Yi to propose a marriage to the sect master of Qianyuan sword sect, and then seek the pure Yang immortal artifact. From Xiao Yuhua's point of view, this move must be extremely easy. He was a dignified third-level Taoist monarch in the world, and he proposed to a second-level real monarch in the world, which gave him enough face. You must know that even the first-rate sects are not in the eyes of Wuji Xianmen, let alone the second-rate sects in the wild land of Qianyuan Jianzong. If it wasn't for Wan Xinghai having a mysterious inheritance, it is estimated that this place has been forgotten by all the monks in the central province of Xianyun continent. As for Qianyuan sword sect, Xiao Yuhua had never even heard of it before. After calm down, Xiao Yuhua turned his head to look at the old man beside him and asked, "Old Wu, I will go to serve in Liangjiuan in 5 years, this time is the deadline, I must get the Qianyuan sword within 5 years. Zong's immortal artifact." Wu Lao heard Xiao Yuhua's resolute meaning, nodded and said, "Young master, rest assured, this matter is left to this old man to handle, no matter what means they use to kill Xian Yi, it proves that the other party has at least Yuanshan Dao monarch level. Fighting power, young master must not force it. Despite his unwillingness, Xiao Yuhua nodded. Okay, I will listen to Mr. Wu, what do you say? It can be like this. Wu Lao thought for a while and said slowly. Listening to Wu Lao's words, Xiao Yuhua's eyes gradually brightened, and he smiled and said, okay, since that's the case, they'll be here waiting for the good news of Wu Lao. However, the old man has to borrow someone from the young master. Who? He. Elder Wu pointed at Yi Tianqi. How difficult is this? Xiao Yuhua waved his hand, and Joyo Soul Cultivating Wood flew to Old Wu's hand. With a wave of his sleeves, Wu Lao put Yi Tianqi into the Joyo Soul Tree. Twin Lakes Island. When Chen Daoxuan's figure reappeared, he had already appeared in the newly renovated Chen Family Magical Instrument Research Institute. To be precise, the Chen family's Magical Instrument Research Institute has now merged with the Chenyuan Jianzong's Artifact Refining Hall. This is the first department of the Chen family and Chenyuan Jianzong to merge. It is also a department that Chen Daoxian attaches great importance to. Besides, he really didn't like the Yuanying Zhenjuan and other disciples of Chenyuan Jianzong. In his opinion, Qin Zhan and concubine Chen Xue also have some talents in Chenyuan Jianzong. Others, including those top true monarchs, are just as talented. Although Wan Xinghai is poor in resources, the cultivator's Dao realm is not limited by resources. In the capital of Su State, Chen Daoxian even met the true monarch on the third floor of the world. In Chenyuan Jianzong, there are only two people in the world, Qin Zhan and concubine Chen Xue. As for the major sects on the northwestern frontier of Xianyan continent, only Yi Tianqi has reached the level of a true monarch in the world. It can be said that there are very few monks near Wan Xinghai who have the potential of Yuanchen Daojun. Chen Daoxian naturally would not be too concerned about the monks of Chenyuan Jianzong. Compared with the cultivation talent of the disciples of the Chenyuan sword sect, what he cares more about is what kind of sparks can be produced after the integration of the Chen Family Magical Instrument Research Institute and the Chenyuan Sword Sect Refining Hall. Speaking of which, what Chen Daoxian wants to do most now is to annex the Master Refiner in the Hall of Thousand Machines. In his opinion, although the fighting power of the Thousand Machines Hall is weak, the opponent's means of refining puppets is really not weak. Chen Daoxian was envious of their puppet refining skills. It was not a day or two, especially when he knew that the Taoist soldiers were formed through puppets. Patriarch? In the Institute of Magical Instruments, Chen Daochu saw Chen Daoxian, and his face immediately showed an ecstatic expression. He trotted towards Chen Daoxian, and when the monks around heard the word patriarch, they all looked at Chen Daoxian curiously. Chen Daoxian could see that the faces of these people were very unfamiliar, and they were neither the Chen family's own craftsmen, nor the talented loose cultivator recruited by the Chen family. From this point of view, there is only one answer. These people are all from the Chenyuan Sword Sect Refining Hall. Chen Daoxian retracted his gaze and said with a smile, "It seems that the progress of your Institute of Magical Instruments has been good in recent years." Hearing this, Chen Daochu became excited. Of course not bad. Patriarch, guess how many high-level artifact refiners are there in the Chen Family Artifact Research Institute? 17K. Chapter 443. How many? Chen Daochu stretched out his palm. There are more than 5,000 people. There are more than 5,000 people in my Chen Family Magical Instrument Research Institute, and there are more than 5,000 artifact refiners above the 4th rank. So much? Chen Daoxian was taken aback. Don't look at the rapid development of the Chen family's industrial refining. In fact, there are not many high-level refining masters. Even compared with the deep-rooted Yuaning family, they are far from each other, let alone compared with a large sect like Chenyuan Jianzong. After all, in order to cultivate highly professional talents such as high-level alchemists and alchemists, in addition to spending a lot of resources, it also requires a lot of time, and there must be a sufficient population base. Because the emergence of alchemy geniuses and artifact refining geniuses, like immortal seedlings with talent, is a very rare situation. Over the years, the Chen family has grown to a population of nearly 10 million, but the number of cultivators is only a few 100,000, which is not much. According to the probability of an artifact refining genius appearing, how many artifact refining geniuses can be born out of the hundreds of thousands of cultivators in the Qin family? Therefore, the Qin family vigorously searched for all kinds of geniuses in the loose cultivator in order to absorb them into the Qin family. For the time being, it seems that the effect is not bad. But there is a problem with doing this, that is, there are too many geniuses in the loose cultivation, and over time, the dominance of the Qin family cultivator will be gradually replaced. This is also the situation that the senior executives of the Qin family are most worried about. Don't get it to the end, the Qin family has become the Qin family of the loose cultivators, not the Qin family of the Qin family. That's funny. Dao Chu. Patriarch. Qin Dao Chu had a solemn look on his face. Qin Dao Xian said earnestly, I don't have many artifact refining masters in the Qin family. So many people from Qianyuan Jianzong's Artifact Refining Hall have joined the Artifact Research Institute. You have to make good use of their strengths. Saying that, he gave him a meaningful look. Qin Daochu instantly understood this look, and immediately nodded. Patriarch, don't worry, my Qin family will never give up on the training of this clan's refiner. Not only that, but I also plan to let these newly joined craftsmen set up professional courses in the Qin family studies to train our own craftsmen. You just understand. A hint of relief flashed across Qin Daoxuan's face. Don't look at Qin Daochus, usually a little awkward, but when it comes to major events, he is never vague. The Qin family has always been Qin Daoxuan's most trusted group of people. Relatively speaking, although Qianyuan Jianzong is the sect of his future wife, concubine Qinxue, they are naturally more than a little worse than the Qin family in terms of loyalty. For the people of Qianyuan Jianzong, he can only use it, and he can't believe it. Not to mention him, the people of Qianyuan sword sect, even to their suzerain concubine Qinxue, are not unconditional obedience. Just like Fei Chengshu's decision to marry him, there was a lot of opposition within the Qianyuan sword sect. How can Qin Daoxian trust such a sect? Therefore, Qin Daoxian has already figured out that even if Qianyuan Jianzong will form an alliance with the Qin family in the future, he will still focus on the development of the Qin family. As for Qianyuan Jianzong, it will become an affiliated force united by the Qin family. Before, he thought of being generous. But after Xiao Yuhua forcibly proposed to Qianyuan Jianzong this time, Qin Daoxian found that except his Qin family, no one was reliable. Before Qin Daoxian went to Su State, the suzerain of Tianyuanzong had already expressed his attitude to rely on his Qin family and Qianyuan Jianzong. As a result, Xiao Yuhua forcibly proposed marriage to concubine Qinxue, and the people of Tianyuanzong did not even report to Qin Daoxian, not to mention resistance. Naturally, Qin Daoxian would no longer trust such a grassy sect on the wall. The same is true of Qianyuan Jianzong. It seems that Qianyuan Jianzong is relatively united under the rule of concubine Qinxue. Yi Yin has fallen, and new forces have risen. Qin Daoxian simply didn't have the energy to play these political tricks with the old fritters of Qianyuan Jianzong. He figured it out clearly, whether he was marrying his concubine Qinxue, or Qianyuan Jianzong and the Qin family formed an alliance, he would have to push it forward. Who dares to stop? Who dies? The real demon world will be unified by the demon court at any time, and a war may break out between the two worlds at any time. Qin Daoxian didn't dare and didn't want to drag it on. Now, he just wants to cut through the mess quickly and settle the overall situation. Right, one more thing. Please instruct the patriarch. Qin Daochu bowed his hands. Qin Daoxian took out a jade slip from the storage ring and handed it over. This is the technology of the Qingmu Ding production line that I came up with. Your Magic Weapon Research Institute will improve it, and then organize people to refine it on a large scale. Hearing this, Qin Daochu solemnly took the jade slip and checked it carefully. Qin Daochu is a 4th-order high-grade craftsman, and he is only one step away from a 5th-order craftsman. As he checked, the shock on Qin Daochu's face became more and more intense. In the end, his face was full of excitement and he raised his head. Patriarch, you made this? You kid, have you forgotten that the Rongling furnace was developed by me? Hey, The technical difficulty of the Rongling furnace can't be compared with this Aoki Ding production line. The two are not at the same level. Chen Daochu's baby seemed to be stroking the jade slip and couldn't put it down. As if thinking of something, Chen Daochu said again, however, the machine tool that produces the Qingmu Ding is a fourth-order magic tool, and it needs to be refined by a fourth-order craftsman, and my Chen family's fourth-order craftsman, but not much, I'm afraid. No problem. Chen Daoxian shook his head, let the people from the refining hall participate. But Chen Daoxian raised his hand, follow the power in a hurry, let them make the great Dao oath, and then divide the production line into several parts, let different refiners refine different parts, and then combine them. Besides, they didn't know that this magic machine was used to produce Qingmu Ding. That's right, it seems that's the only way to go. Chen Daochu could feel that the patriarch's tone revealed a sense of urgency. Although he didn't know why Chen Daoxian was so anxious, it must not be a trivial matter to think that it would make the patriarch feel anxious. As for the confidentiality work, it has always been the work of the Magical Instrument Research Institute, and it is not difficult for Chen Daochu to implement it. The department of the Magical Instrument Research Institute is destined to have too many secrets of the Chen family. Whether it is the original Rongling furnace, or the later centrifugal wall-breaking machine, magic lithography machine, magic tool machine tool and other industrialized alchemy, and talisman equipment. All the magic weapon research institutes have complete refining technology. If the confidentiality work is not done well, these technologies have long been stolen by the major immortal races in Wanxinghai. Actually, in order to protect these technologies, the Qin family not only established a strict security system and confidentiality system within the Magical Instrument Research Institute, but also set up a military intelligence department for it. This military intelligence department is directly under the jurisdiction of the Qin family's military department and directly under the command of Qin Fusheng. Such strict security measures have allowed the Qin family Magical Instrument Research Institute to never reveal any technology. Go ahead. Yes. Watching Chen Daochu bow and salute, Chen Daoxuan's figure instantly disappeared in place. Twin Lakes Island. On the periphery of the Magical Instrument Research Institute, on a man-made floating fairy mountain. This floating fairy mountain was artificially created by the Qin family using the floating formation method, and its power source was the fifth-order spiritual veins on Shuanghu Island. The floating immortal mountain that Chen Daoxian set foot on was newly built by the military department of the Qin family after he left the family 3 years ago. The purpose is to prevent Qianyuan from leaking some of each other's secrets during the integration of Qianyuan's construction of the Hall of Refining and Chen's Court of Magical Artifacts. Not only the Qin family, but after so many years, the Qianyuan Sword Sex Item Refining Hall has also accumulated countless item refining inheritances. Among these artifact refining inheritances, some of the Qin family did not like it very much, but some of them were very envious of the Qin family. For example, the method of refining large-scale war instruments, the method of refining high-level puppets, the method of refining high-level spirit armor, and so on. These things, Qianyuan Jianzong's refining hall has everything. The reason why Chen Daoxian said before that the Qianyuan Jianzong Refining Hall and the Qin Family Magical Instrument Research Institute were merged was that in addition to the talents of the refining hall, he also took a fancy to the heritage of the refining hall. Now, with the fusion of the two, these details have been accepted by the Qin Family Magical Instrument Research Institute little by little. In Chen Daoxuan's view, these are the most precious treasures of Qianyuan Sword Sect. In comparison, the resources possessed by Qianyuan Sword Sect are secondary. As long as the resources are strong enough, the Qin family will be able to occupy it sooner or later, whether it is through trade or force. And this kind of thing is uncertain, and it needs to be accumulated slowly from generation to generation. For example, if the Qin family has now destroyed the Xianqing Taoist alliance, will the other party's heritage become the heritage of the Qin family? Bullshit. If the Xianqing Dao alliance was really destroyed by the Qin family, how could the hated Xianqing Dao alliance monks teach them the knowledge of alchemy and weapon refining in their hands, and the other party would definitely destroy these things. On the floating fairy mountain, a group of palaces stands above. This is where the military intelligence office under the Qin family's military headquarters is located. Brush! Qin Daoxuan's figure instantly appeared in front of a young monk. Patriarch! Seeing Qin Daoxian, Qin Fusheng, who was in retreat and meditating, stood up instantly, his face full of surprise. Looking at the other party's face, Qin Fusheng didn't know anything about the fact that Xian Yi kidnapped Qin Zhan and invaded his immortal mansion. Right. Although Qin Fusheng is the most powerful person in the entire Qin family except him, he is only in the late period of Zifu after all. How could a late Zifu monk discover the whereabouts of a primordial spirit monk? Isn't this a night talk in the sky? Thinking of this, Qin Daoxian shook his head, lifted up Qin Fusheng, and said, "Don't be too polite." Qin Fusheng stood up straight and said happily, "Patriarch, when did you come back?" "Just now." Qin Daoxian said casually, "By the way, you are sitting here during this time, and you can find any movement." "Patriarch, there is no movement." Hearing this, Qin Daoxian sighed secretly in his heart. The black-armored cultivator Xian Yi invaded the Qin family, but no one in the Qin family could find it, and even the opponent did not even touch the Qin family's defensive formation. The Qin family's defensive formation is as high as Tier 6. But to guard against primordial spirit cultivators like Xian Yi, the mere 6th-order formation was very difficult. In addition, the highest practitioner of the Qin family who manipulated this formation was only in the late period of Zifu, so he was even more powerless. Think of this. Qin Daoxian took out a jade bottle from the storage ring and handed it to Qin Fusheng. "Patriarch, this is..." Qin Fusheng took the jade bottle, his face full of doubts. "This is the 4th-order Saint Yuan Dan." Qin Daoxian said indifferently. "What?" Qin Fusheng was taken aback, and immediately declined, "The Patriarch must not. This physics should only be used by the Patriarch. What virtue and how can Fusheng dare to use this thing?" "You are right, it is because you are incompetent that you have to use this thing." Qin Daoxian said unceremoniously, "Do you know that before I returned to my family, there was a thief lurking in my immortal mansion?" "Who?" Hearing this, Qin Fusheng only felt his face burning like fire. "It doesn't matter who you are, you just need to know that with your current strength, you are still too far away to protect the Qin family. What qualifications do you have to refuse a treasure that enhances your strength?" "Ha!" Qin Daoxuan's lesson made Qin Fusheng a little shameless. Seeing his appearance, Qin Daoxuan's tone slowed down again. "I know that the Qin family's development speed is too fast, and your progress speed is fast enough. You don't even need to be inferior to any genius in Qianyuan Jianzong, but this not enough, far from enough." Qin Daoxian paused. "The enemies my Qin family will face in the future will become stronger and stronger, and you don't want to have to hide behind me in the future, right?" Hearing these words, Qin Fusheng clenched his fists tightly. "Patriarch, I understand." Gently patted the other party's shoulder, Qin Daoxian said, "You understand, there are 3 Xing Yuan Dan in this bottle. Originally this Xing Yuan Dan should be taken during the Jin Dan period, and the effect is the best. However, with your body training and Dao realm, you can also take it in advance. I hope that after taking these 3 Saint Yuan pills, you will be able to hit the realm of nascent soul, heard?" Qin Fusheng took a deep breath and said, "If you don't break nascent soul, you will never stop." "Okay, I'll wait for your good news," Qin Daoxian said with relief. This time, Qin Daoxian chose to hand over all the allocation of Xing Yuandan to Qin Fusheng to help him break through the nascent soul stage in one fell swoop. Originally, Qin Daoxian planned to give one of the pills to Luo Li, and the other 2 to Qin Fusheng, so that he could hit the Yuaning stage. But now, Qin Daoxian is eager to let the Qin family give birth to another cultivator in the Yuaning period. In this way, if the Taoist team is handed over to the opponent, the Qin family will be able to withstand the Yuanshan stage monks on the 1st and 2nd floors of the world. Fortunately, the black-armored cultivator regarded himself very highly and did not do anything to the Qin family. What if this time the other party came to Chen's house and massacred it? Where did Qin Daoxian go to buy regret medicine? Besides, when Xian Yi was killed, Whether Xiao Yuhua behind him was avenging his subordinates or for the pure yang immortal artifact of Chen Yuan's sword sect, this matter would not end there. Chen Daoxian must plan ahead and improve the Chen family's ability to deal with the crisis in time. Chen Daoxian's first preparation was that after he left the family, the Chen family still had the strength to deal with the primordial spirit cultivator. As for the second preparation, it is a counterattack. Xiao Yuhua forcibly married the concubine Chen Shui for the sake of Qinyang immortal weapon, and also violated the Chen family. Even if the other party gave up on this matter, Chen Daoxian would not give up. He really couldn't afford to offend Wuji Xianmen in a short period of time, but it did not mean that Chen Daoxian was helpless against a direct disciple of Wuji Xianmen. In terms of his own strength, perhaps there is still a big gap between Chen Daoxian and Xiao Yuhua. But in the Chuanbao Pavilion in the capital of Su State, he knew a treasure of Taoism called Taoist soldiers. With the presence of foreign objects like Dao soldiers, as long as Chen Daoxian has enough power of creation, he can quickly wipe out and even surpass Xiao Yua's strength. For Chen Daoxian, as long as he is given a little time, the most important thing he does not lack is the power of creation. In the blink of an eye, half a month has passed. A total of 2,317 greenwood tripod production lines were completed under the refinement of more than 5,000 fourth-order refiners at the Chen Family Artifact Research Institute day and night. Look at the Patriarch, this is the first batch of greenwood cauldron production lines, and the subsequent greenwood cauldron production lines are still being refined. In a newly built magic tool factory, Chen Daochu introduced to Chen Daoxian. Okay, continue refining. Chen Daoxian looked at the Aoki Ding production line in front of him. All the production lines here are also running, and the Aoki Dings that are offline are all used to refine the power of creation. How is the preparation of the spirit stone mine that I let my tribe mine? Patriarch, my Chen family has mobilized all Zhangzhou cultivators to fully exploit the large and medium-sized spirit stone mines in Zhangzhou. At present, the first batch of spirit stones totaling more than 10 trillion spirit stones have been transported to the Qinjia Dongtian treasure house for storage. As long as Aoki Ding is offline, it can be directly refined. Hearing this efficiency, Chen Daoxian nodded with satisfaction, not bad. But this time, when he heard Chen Daoxuan's praise, Chen Daochu was not excited, but hesitant. Speak up if you have something to say. Chen Daoxian stared. 7017K. Chapter 444. Hearing this, Chen Daochu looked hesitant and said, recently, my Chen family has been mining spirit stone mines, which has caused Zhangzhou spirit stone coins to become unstable. Now that Zhangzhou cultivators are all in a panic, for fear that my Chen family will mine all the spirit stones in Zhangzhou, and the spirit stone coins in their hands will become waste paper. Absurd. Chen Daoxian snorted coldly, spiritual stone coins can buy all kinds of medicinal pills, magic weapons, and magic talismans produced by my Chen family. How can they be reduced to waste paper? I will make Fusheng. Speaking of this, Chen Daoxian stopped abruptly. He remembered that Chen Fusheng was in retreat to break through the nascent soul period, and turned to say, don't worry, I will let the people from the military intelligence department check it out, but I want to see who is in Zhangzhou. Spread rumors. Yes, Patriarch. Hearing this, Chen Daochu breathed a sigh of relief. The Chen family mining spirit stones with such a big fanfare will indeed cause the hearts of Zhangzhou to fluctuate. Because now the collateral of spirit stone coins has gradually changed from spirit stones to spiritual tools, spirit pills and other cultivation resources. And it was the Chen family that provided the Zhangzhou cultivators with the most resources. As long as the Chen family insists on using spiritual stone coins to settle the cultivation resources such as algorithms and spiritual pills, there will be no depreciation of Lingshire coins. With Chen Daoxuan's assurance, Chen Daochu was relieved, and his tone became light again. Patriarch, with the current productivity of this factory, we can produce at most 77 greenwood cauldrons per day. Nissan 77. Chen Daoxian nodded. He worked hard for 2 years in the capital of Su Kingdom before he made 50 greenwood cauldrons. Now with the Chen family as the backing, just 1 day's effort can surpass his 2 years of hard work. Not only that, with the increasing number of Qingmu Ding production lines, the production speed of Qingmu Ding will only get faster and faster. No matter how strong Qin Daoxian is, it is impossible to compare with the terrifying productivity of industrialization. By the way, are there enough materials for making Aoki Ding? Enough. Qin Daochu nodded and said, the four major demon kingdoms in the real demon world have always been under the control of the Chen Yuan sword sect, and the mining of Qingmu steel has also been going on. I heard that Chen Yuan Jianzong originally planned to use the hands of the four major demon countries to start trade with other demon countries in the real demon world, but I don't know why this matter was delayed. Hearing this, Chen Daoxian did not speak. Of course he knew why Fei Chenxue stopped the plan to develop the real demon world. With Xiao Yuhua, a foreign enemy, and Chen Daoxian not in Wangxinghai, she naturally had no intention of attacking the real demon world. You don't need to worry about this matter, as long as there are enough materials for refining the Qingmu cauldron. He paused. From now on, I will try my best to produce Qingmu cauldron and refine the power of good fortune. What I'm going to do next requires a lot of power of good fortune, understand? Clear. Chen Daochu held his head high and swore to assure. With the spiritual stone reserves of the Qin family, at least 20 million drops of the power of creation can be extracted. But it is not an easy thing to refine such a huge spiritual stone into the power of creation. According to a greenwood cauldron, the speed of refining 365 drops of the power of creation a year. If Qin Daoxian wants to extract 20 million drops of the power of creation within a year, he needs at least 55,000 greenwood cauldrons. At the rate at which the factory produces 77 greenwood tripods a day, it would take about 2 years. That is to say, it will take several years for Qin Daoxian to refine all the spiritual stones of the Qin family into the power of creation, and this is only the spiritual stone resources in the hands of the Qin family. In fact, the spiritual stone resources that Qin Daoxian is about to master is far beyond what he is now. Qin Daoxian is about to marry concubine Qin Xue, and the Qin family will also form an alliance with Chen Yuan Jianzong. At that time, the spiritual stone resources that Qin Daoxian masters will no longer be a mere state, but the entire Wangxinghai and Izumo kingdom. How many spirit stones can be mined in total from the spirit stone mines of Wangxinghai and Izumo? Qin Daoxian couldn't imagine it. For high-level cultivators, spirit stones are numbers, and their value is not great. But the power of creation is different. Except for the Yuanjiang family of Liangjia, if other cultivators want to obtain this thing, they must work hard to refine it. In this way, the power of creation naturally has a huge human cost in it. Even the Yuanjiang family of the two realms can use the greenwood cauldron to refine the power of good fortune, but they have to spend time refining the fourth-order magic weapon of the greenwood cauldron. You must know that it is much more difficult to train a fourth-order alchemist than to train a Jindan real person. Even the Yuanjiang family of the two realms has not many fourth-order refiners. Chen Yuan Sword Sect. A cave in Beppu. Several figures are sitting together. If there are monks from the Jindan period and above of the Chen Yuan Sword Sect, they will be able to recognize them. The few present are all the top true monarchs of the Chen Yuan Sword Sect. Linwu, what are you still hesitating about now? Concubine Chenxue betrayed the foundation of the sect. Should I turn a blind eye to this? One of the true monarchs said excitedly, my Chen Yuan sword sect has been passed down from ancient times to the present, and I have gone through many trials and hardships, but now I have to be easily taken into the bag by a yellow-mouthed child. Can you bear this tone? Palace Master Mo, don't be impatient. True monarch Linwu said solemnly, I can't make a decision easily until the final step. What else this Hall Master Mo wanted to say, the true monarch on the side quickly persuaded, yes, Hall Master Mo, the marriage between Qin Daoxian and the sect master is just a rumor, the truth is unknown, you are so impulsive now, isn't it? Disgrace the reputation of the sect master and my Chen Yuan sword sect. Seemingly thinking of something, the true monarch smiled, speaking of which, I always thought that your Chenyan temple was on the side of the sect master, but I didn't expect. Saying that, the true monarch kept shaking his head. Mo Wuxian's eyes were firm, and he said decisively, the object of my allegiance has never been someone, but Qianyuan Jianzong. Whoever dares to betray Qianyuan Jianzong is my mortal enemy. This chilling tone shocked everyone present. Even the true monarch Lin Wu stood up, bowed his hands to Mo Wushan, and said respectfully, "Brother Mo, rest assured, if the sect master really does the wrong thing and betrays the sect, I will not tolerate it in Lingwu." "It is good." Mo Wushan's tone was excited. The eyes of the other true monarchs flickered, not knowing what they were thinking. They knew in their hearts, don't look at the impassioned appearance of Lingwu Xinjuan and this hall master Mo, but the marriage between Chen Daoxian and concubine Chen Xue, and the alliance between the Chen family and Qianyuan Jianzong, are not within their control. Among the sects, Qin Zhan did not need to say more, he would definitely stand on the side of concubine Chen Xue. In the Qianyuan sword sect, only Qin Zhan and Fei Chen Xue have reached the world realm, especially Fei Chen Xue, who has reached the second floor of the world realm. With just a few of their top true monarchs, how can they fight against the two world realm true monarchs? By mouth. Several true monarchs kept shaking their heads in their hearts, maybe, it's time to make a decision. Just when a few people were discussing, the message Jade Talisman of Lingwu Xinjuan suddenly sounded. Seeing that everyone was looking at him, Xinjuan Lingwu took out the communication Jade Talisman and opened the ban in front of everyone. "Lingwu." A soft voice came from the communication Jade Talisman. "Is the suzerain?" Everyone froze slightly. "Metropolitan." Lingwu Xinjuan bowed his head and said respectfully, "I have something important to discuss with you. Hall Master Ganyan and everyone here, please come together." This. Hearing this, everyone looked at each other in dismay. What a strong sense. Across the two caves and the heavy formations, the sect master was able to detect them with his divine sense, and he was not discovered by them. At this moment, this is the only thought in everyone's mind. Such a strong sense of consciousness proves that the spirit of the sect master is getting stronger and stronger, and it is probably only one step away from breaking through the spirit barrier. Flesh Pass, Dao Pass, Divine Soul Pass. Of these three passes, Fei Chen Xue had already passed two of them, and only one pass was left. Now it seems that Fei Chen Xue is about to pass the level of Divine Soul. What this means, the people present can't know better. Ginchen Daokuan. Their Qianyuan Jianzong is about to give birth to a Yuanshan Daojun. Thinking of this, even though everyone knew that Fei Chen Xue was suspected of betraying the sect, they couldn't help but feel excited. Ginchen Daokuan. Once a Yuanshan Daojun is born in the sect, it means that the sect has the possibility of impacting the first-class forces. Just wait for the newly born Yuanshan Daojun to serve in the battlefield outside the two realms, and when the service period expires, the sect will be officially recorded by Tianzunqing and become a first-class force in the Fengyun world. Mo Wushan and true monarch Lingwu looked at each other silently, and immediately bowed their hands to the communication jade slip. "I respectfully obey the decree of the suzerain." When the words fell, the aura on the communication jade slip dimmed. "Everyone, let's go. Together. Please." After everyone finished speaking, they all stood up, walked out of Beppu, and flew towards Fei Chengshu's cave. Yunshao Palace. Qianyuan Jianzong Discussion Hall. In the hall, there are only two people, Fei Chen Xue and Qin Zhan. The rest of the thrones are all empty. It's not that concubine Chen Xue didn't notify everyone, but that she wants to convince the top true monarchs of Qianyuan sword sect today. Only in this way can we further convince all the true monarchs of Qianyuan Jianzong, let the minority obey the majority, and form an alliance with the Chen family. If the top true monarch of Qianyuan Jianzong confronts her two brothers and sisters, then Qianyuan Jianzong will be divided into two factions again. One faction will follow her concubine Chen Xue and alliance with the Chen family. The other faction disagreed with the alliance. This will inevitably lead to the division of Qianyuan sword sect. Although Fei Chen Xue has confidence in suppressing them, this will definitely damage the strength of Qianyuan sword sect. This is what she doesn't want to see. Today, Fei Chen Xue has made up her mind either to persuade the elders of Qianyuan sword sect, or to get rid of them completely. In short, she cannot let Qianyuan Jianzong fall into turmoil and division. Back then, she repeatedly tolerated Yi Yin's faction, just because she didn't want to see Qianyuan Jianzong fall into civil strife. Now, she will never allow Yi Yin's disaster to appear a second time. Whoosh whoosh. Outside the hall, a flash of light flew into the hall and took their seats. Concubine Chengshu's gaze swept across the elders of the sect, and finally, her gaze fell on Jinju and Linwu. Among these people present, Linwu Jinjuan was the oldest and had the highest credit. Everyone is also vaguely headed by him. Seeing Concubine Chinchue looking at him, Jinjuan Linwu slowly stood up, bowed to Concubine Chinchue and said, "Sect Master, I don't know why you have called me here, why?" Hearing this, Concubine Chinchue raised her right hand vacantly and said, "True Lord Linwu does not need to be too polite. Speaking of which, this matter is related to the future and destiny of my Qianyuan sword sect, so I have to discuss it with you all." She paused. "True monarch, how is my situation in Wanxinghai now?" Hearing this, Jinjuan Linwu frowned. "Now that Izumo has been recaptured, my Qianyuan sword sect is at its peak, and the situation in Wanxinghai is naturally stable." Hearing this, Concubine Chinchue sighed and said, "Why should the true monarch deceive himself and others? It is true that my Qianyuan sword sect is unique in Wanxinghai, but to say that Wanxinghai is unmatched, it is not necessarily what the sect master said, but the Qin family." Before the concubine Qin Shui could finish speaking, Jinjuan Linwu interrupted, "If the sect master is just worried about the troubles of the Qin family, his subordinates can take action in person to calm down the Qin family." "That's right." The master of the Qianyun Palace also stood up. "Why should the Qin family be afraid of the Qin family, which occupies the land of Wanxinghai and one prefecture? If the sect master really thinks that the Qin family is a disaster, just cut it off." Yes, although the Qin family is strong, they are only stronger than Qin Daoxian, and the rest are not worth mentioning. "What junior brother you said is very true." The crowd joined in. Seeing the echoes below, Feikingsu's eyes were still dull. "What do you mean? The Qin family is a threat to my Qianyuan sword sect, so I will remove it, right?" True monarch Linwu stood up again and said, "Sect master, although cutting off the meritorious officials will make my Qianyuan sword sect bear the infamy, but I would like to bear this infamy alone. After the Qin family is removed, the sect master can announce to the public that I will be expelled from the sect." Beside Fei Chinchue, the pale Qin Zhan frowned slightly. "No oil and salt. This Linwu is really a muscle, and he would rather bear the infamy than merge the sect with the Qin family." "Linwu, can you win fellow Daoist Qin?" Concubine Chinchue said unceremoniously, "You should be aware that fellow Daoist Qin is already the true monarch of the world. Sect master, I want to invite Emperor Yu Zhongyi to use it." True monarch Linwu did not give in. Just when the two sides were fighting each other, a crisp applause sounded in the hall. Immediately afterwards, the space rippled slightly, and a white figure suddenly appeared in the hall. It was Qin Daoxian. "True monarch Linwu, what grudges do you and I have to make you decide to kill me?" Jinjuan Linwu shook his head. "There is no hatred and no resentment. On the contrary, I have admired you very much before, but this does not mean that you can occupy the dove's nest and occupy my Qianyuan sword sect. In the eyes of the true monarch, Qin Daoxian, are the traitor who stole your Qianyuan sword sect? Is not it?" Linwu Jinjuan burst into anger. "Who knows?" Qin Daoxian let out a chuckle, and slowly, his laughter became louder and louder, until the whole hall was filled with his laughter. Looking at Qin Daoxian who was laughing, Qin Zhan, who was not far away, said to his concubine Qin Shui, "Brother Chen's laugh is really exaggerated. If he can't beat him, I want to beat him." Fei Chinchue glared at him, "My brother-in-law." Hearing this, Qin Zhan pouted, "I've protected him before I even crossed the door." Fei Chinchue turned her head away and ignored him. In the hall, everyone frowned when they heard Qin Daoxian laughing wildly. Especially the true monarch Linwu was even more furious. "Qin Daoxian, are you making fun of me?" "Do not," Qin Daoxian shook his head, "I'm not laughing at you, I'm laughing at all of you here." Just a few of you are worthy of me spending my time and planning? Straight. Huangko child. Chen Daoxian, don't be too arrogant. Qin Zhan looked at the hall where there was a lot of scolding, and murmured, I really need to be beaten. 7017K. Chapter 445. Looking at the angry crowd in the hall, Chen Daoxian raised his head slightly. It's useless to talk too much, let's see the real chapter under our hands. It is good. True monarch Lin Wu restrained the anger on his face. Since that's the case, let me come to experience fellow Taoist Chen's Taoism. Hearing this, Chen Daoxian shook his head. True monarch Lin Wu raised his eyebrows. Why, are you afraid? I'm in the world. It's inevitable to be a bit incompetent against you, a late nascent soul. He thought for a while, and then his eyes swept to the people present. Well, let's go together. Only this time, no one was angry. Because everyone knows that in terms of personal strength, Lin Wuzhenjuan is by no means Chen Daoxuan's opponent. Even if everyone present shot together, they may not be able to match Chen Daoxian on the second floor of the world realm. What? Let you both go together, but you still don't feel sure? Chen Daoxian sneered, oh right, you want to borrow the Emperor Yu Bell from Shuer, right? With that said, Chen Daoxian turned to look at Fei Chenxue and extended his hand towards her. Fei Chenxue understood. With a wave of her hand, a small golden bell flew towards Chen Daoxian. It is the treasure of the Zhenzong of the Qianyuan Jianzong, the pure yang fairy bell, the Yu Huang bell. Gently holding the Emperor Yes bell, Chen Daoxian chuckled lightly. You boasted that Haikao could kill me just now, did you rely on this thing? Looking at the Emperor Yes bell in Chen Daoxuan's hands, Lin Wuzhenjuan, Qianyuan Palace Master and others all froze in their hearts. Oops. This treasure actually fell into the hands of Chen Daoxian, and I don't know what kind of ecstasy soup the sect master was poured into by him, but he actually handed the treasure of Zhenzong into the hands of an outsider. Just when everyone didn't know what to do, Chen Daoxian threw Yu Huangzhong Chao Lin Wuzhenjuan. Since you are so confident, I will lend you this treasure, but I want to see if you have the ability to kill me with it. Chen Lang. Seeing this scene, Fei Chenxue stood up immediately. She knows the power of Emperor Yes Bell better than anyone else. Although this treasure cannot exert much power in the hands of nascent soul cultivators, if several nascent soul cultivators join forces, some of the power of this treasure can still be stimulated. And with this little power, it is enough to be comparable to Yuanchen Daojun, which is also the biggest trump card of Qianyuan Jianzong. Facing Zhenjuan Linwu's unbelievable look, Emperor Yes Bell slowly flew into his hands. True monarch Lin Wu looked complicated. Chen Daoxian, are you really not afraid of death? I said, no matter if you are a person or a group of people, or you are holding a pure yang fairy weapon, you are not my opponent. Since you want to give it a try, I will give you a chance to be convinced. Take it, call all the monks you can, and they'll be waiting for you in the endless void. Speak. Chen Daoxian waved his hand, and a void black hole appeared in the hall. Chen Daoxian strode into the black hole of the void and disappeared in front of everyone. Seeing this, everyone looked at each other. Immediately, they followed closely and stepped into the void black hole. Let's go. Seeing this scene, concubine Chenxue knew that this battle was inevitable, and she only hoped that this battle would damage as little as possible the true monarchs of the Qianyuan sword sect. After all, those who followed Chen Daoxian were all the top true monarchs of Qianyuan sword sect. This level of powerhouse, the entire Qianyuan Jianzong adds up to only a dozen or so, which is very precious. Endless void. One after another figure flew out of the void black hole and stood in the void. Chen Daoxian glanced at random, and there were 7 people standing behind Lin Wuzhenjuan. The other 3 stood behind Fei Chenxue and Qin Zhan. Seeing this scene, the palace master Qianyuan was furious and glared at the 3 of them. You guys among the 3, a cultivator stood up, rushed to the master of the Cloud Palace and cupped his hands. The sect master, whether it is cultivation or merit, is among the best among the sect masters of the Qianyuan sword sect, and the 3 of us believe in the sect master's choose, traitor. The palace master Qianyuan snorted coldly and turned his head to stop looking at them. True monarch Lin Wu shook his head and sighed. Palace Master Emo, forget it, everyone has their own aspirations, so there is no need to say more. I will wait for the peace of mind to meet the enemy. It is good. Emo Wuxian nodded. Today, I will be with brother Lin Wu, and we will meet for a while with my Wan Xinghai's number one. One day only. Looking at the 7 top true monarchs in front of him, although Chen Daoxian was confident enough to win without using Dao's soldiers, in order to be safe, Chen Daoxian still activated the bronze bracelet in his hand. Boom! In the blink of an eye, 5 Dao soldiers appeared around Chen Daoxian. Looking at the sudden appearance of the Taoist soldiers, the opposite side suddenly became commotion. Chen Daoxian, why do I think you are so courageous? It turns out that you have a helper. Please help me to ambush me and wait. You are also worthy of becoming the co-lord of the Wangxinghai. The opposite side suddenly shouted, enough. True monarch Lin Wu shouted, then took a serious look at the 5 Dao soldiers, then looked at Chen Daoxian, and asked, Dao soldiers? Chen Daoxian nodded, exactly. Suddenly, true monarch Lin Wu smiled. No wonder you are so confident that you can win over us who hold the fairy weapon. Qianyuan Palace Master heard the Dao soldiers once, and immediately reacted. His eyes widened and he couldn't believe it. Brother Lin Wu, are these people from the legend? That's right. A trace of bitterness flashed across Lin Wu Zhenjin's face. Dao soldiers, but also a complete Dao soldier squad. Lin Wu Zhenjuan had foreseen their failure. The Dao soldiers have always been used by the disciples of the great forces to protect the Dao. Ordinary cultivators don't talk about it, many have never even heard of it. This is also the reason why several cultivators present scolded Chen Daoxian as despicable. Lin Wu Zhenjuan, you use immortal weapons, I use Dao soldiers, I'm not taking advantage of you, right? True monarch Lin Wu didn't answer, he only shouted, form a formation, heard. The 7 top true monarchs immediately flew to different directions, setting up a mysterious formation. Next moment, one after another, the true monarchs pointed to swords and pointed to the direction of Lin Wu true monarch. Afterwards, beams of mana light followed their fingers and shot towards Zhenjuan Lin Wu. Do not. To be precise, he did not shoot at Zhenjuan Lin Wu, but at the small golden bell in Zhenjuan Lin Wu's hand. The Emperor Yu Bell is the treasure of the Qianyuan sword sect, and the Qianyuan sword sect has never been born with monks who can fully use it. Therefore, in order to use the Emperor Yu Bell, the Qianyuan sword sect has also developed a lot of means. The means that Lin Wu Zhenjuan and others are using now is one of them. What this method pays attention to is to gather the mana of many Yuanying monks to motivate Yu Huangzhong. Although in terms of flexibility and power, there is no way to compare it with a single Yuanchen Dao Jun urging it, but fortunately it can stimulate part of Yu Huangzhong's power. As the mana beam shoots towards the golden bell, the Emperor Yes bell swelled rapidly, and in just a split second, it changed from a small golden bell that could be held in one hand to a behemoth that almost covered the endless void. Chen Daoxian stood under the Emperor Yes bell, as small as an ant. Although this was not the first time he had seen Emperor Yu Zhong show his power, but when he saw it again, he was still extremely shocked. No wonder Xiao Yuhua was thinking about this pure yang fairy weapon. In the hands of a group of Yuanying monks, the Emperor Yu Bell has such power. If it falls into the hands of Yuanchen Daojun, Chen Daoxian shook his head. He no longer thought about it, and immediately issued an order to the Taoist team, defend the enemy. Following the order, the Taoist team quickly changed its orientation, and the 2 Taoist soldiers in charge of defense erected 2 shields in their hands that were comparable to the size of door panels. The rest of the Taoist soldiers stood behind the 2 Taoist soldiers. The Dao soldiers formed a defensive formation, and Chen Daoxian was supported by them at the very center. Aside, Qin Zhan, who had not recovered from his injuries, saw this sky-shattering scene and couldn't help but said to his concubine Qin Shui, "Senior sister, why don't we hide for a while?" Don't hide. Concubine Qin Shui looked at the top of Mount Tai, looking at Chen Daoxian and Yu Huangzhong, who was pressing down on them, with bright eyes. I believe him. Qin Zhan, Chen Daoxian. Die! Lin Wu shouted loudly, and the Emperor Yes bell fell like a star, slamming into Chen Daoxian. Boom! A terrifying energy storm erupted where the two collided. For a time, there were all kinds of energy rays in the endless void. Fortunately, there is an endless void here, the space is extremely stable, and there is no situation where the space is broken down. The hurricane energy storm blew thousands of miles. Gradually, the core of the energy storm subsided. Dead. Dead? The palace master Qianyun breathed heavily and muttered. At the last moment, Yu Huangzhong's speed of extracting mana was too fast. Rao is because he has a deep foundation, and his mana is much deeper than that of ordinary nascent soul monks, and he can't stand Yu Huangzhong's extraction of mana. This is still the case when they have 7 top true monarchs to perform together, if only one Qianyun palace shudders and shudders. I'm afraid he will be sucked into adulthood by this Emperor Yu. Not far away, Jinjuan Linwu was also panting heavily, shook his head and said, "He is not dead, his breath is still there." The power that Yu Huangzhong burst out was even greater than Linwu Jinjuan imagined. But even so, Chen Daoxian could not be resolved. Thinking of this, true monarch Linwu couldn't help but feel depressed. These people should be the strongest group of people in the opposition forces of Chenyuan sword sect. As for the other true monarchs of nascent soul, in the face of an enemy like Chen Daoxian, it is of no use at all. Even if they hadn't held the Emperor Yu Bel, they wouldn't have caused any threat to Chen Daoxian. The most important thing is that Chen Daoxian can fight them face to face, instead of relying on his outstanding personal strength to fight against them. When they went to Zone Nei to bring more nascent soul cultivators to battle together, they would be a little shameless. The energy storm dissipated. Chen Daoxian appeared intact in everyone's sight. Looking at the white figure in the distance, Qin Zhan said in shock, "With such a strong attack, it can't even shake the opponent's defense." The attack that Lin Wu and the others unleashed just now has definitely reached the level of Yuanshan Daojun. Unfortunately, this attack method is ineffective against Yuanshan Daojun. Qin Zhan naturally knew what senior sister's attack meant to be ineffective against Yuanshan Daojun. Yuanshan Daojun would not be foolish to wait for a group of Yuanying monks to set up the formation, and then urge Yu Huangzhong to attack him. When Yuanshan Daojun faced a group of Yuanying cultivators, he either rushed directly into the enemy's line, killed a lot, or used kite tactics to fight with the opponent. Never stand in the same place stupidly and let the other party use his methods. Chen Daoxuan's move was entirely to defeat the confidence of the cultivators present to resist. In other words, defeat the confidence of the opposition forces of Chenyuan Zhenzong. In the middle of the Taoist team, Chen Daoxian waved his hand, and the 5 Taoist soldiers changed into bronze bracelets and wore them on his right hand. After doing all this, Chen Daoxian looked at everyone. "Now, are you convinced?" Hearing this, the expressions of everyone present kept changing. Finally, Jinjuan Linwu sighed and said, "Fellow Daoist Chen, I admit that your current strength is the highest among all the stars, and with your potential, you won't conspire against my Chenyuan sword sect." Having said that, Jinjuan Linwu laughed at himself. "My Chenyuan sword sect, apart from this Emperor Yesbel, there is probably nothing worthy of your conspiracy. But just now, you personally handed the Emperor Yu Bel into my hands, and I'm obedient." "Linwu, you..." Seeing that Linwu Jinjuan was soft-spoken, the palace master Qianyun said with trembling, "You are betraying the sect." "Junior brother Mo, that's all." "That's it?" Mo Wushan roared, "My Chenyuan sword sect has been established since ancient times, and it has been passed down through ups and downs to this day. You told me that now I want to bow my head to a yellow-mouthed child? I tell you, it can't be done." After all, the palace master Qianyun flew out from the crowd. "Chen Daoxian, even if everyone in the Chenyuan sword sect surrenders to you, I can't refuse to accept it." With that said, he looked at Fei Chenxue again. "I misread you. Back then, I should have stood by Yi Yin over there. At least, he won't betray the sect. Chen Daoxian, die." With a loud roar, Qian Yundianism rushed towards Chen Daoxian without hesitation, posing a desperate attitude. However, with his mana almost exhausted, how can he compete with Chen Daoxian on the second floor of the world realm with only his physical cultivation? I saw Chen Daoxian gently raise his hand and flick his fingers. The space cage immediately enveloped the opponent. Under the blessing of the power of the world, Chen Daoxian's space cage is many times stronger than before. At the very least, a top true monarch with exhausted mana can never be broken just by his physical cultivation. I saw that the space cage kept shrinking, and finally, it turned into a round bead similar to a glass bead, which was put into his sleeve by Chen Daoxian. Seeing that Chen Daoxian suppressed the Chenyuan Palace Master instead of killing him, Lin Wu Zhenjuan, including concubine Chen Xue, all breathed a sigh of relief. Speaking of which, the Palace Master of Chenyuan and Yi Yin are different. After all, Yi Yin is not for the sect, he has his own selfishness, while the Lord of the Palace of Chenyun and the true monarch Lin Wu are all for the Chenyuan sword sect. If Chen Daoxian kills these two on the occasion of these two alliances, it will inevitably cause the Chenyuan sword sect's heart to float. In the end, even the more than 5,000 fourth-order refiners who had been included in the beetle would have a rebellious heart. Force is indeed very important, but when running a force is not everything. Sometimes, people's hearts are often more important. With Chen Daoxian's strength, he can indeed easily kill all the opposing forces in Chenyuan sword sect. But in this way, the hearts of Chenyuan Jianzong dissipated. He also counted on the disciples of Chenyuan sword sect to manage Wan Xinghai and Izumo for him in the future. After all, relying on the Chen family alone, it would be a fantasy to manage the Nuoda Wan Xinghai and Izumo. 7017K. Chapter 446, 10 days later. Outside the Chenyuan sword sect, a spirit boat flew over from all directions. Occasionally, there are also flashes of light passing by, and it is a scene of an immortal family. On a spirit boat, two purple mansion monks, a man and a woman, are talking. These two are not other people, they are Zhou Mubai, the young patriarch of the Zhou family in Sangzhou, and Yang Gongwan, the patriarch of the Yang family. Compared with Zhou Mubai, who has not yet fully taken over the power of the family, Yang Gongwan has already taken over the power of the Yang family from his grandfather. It's really like a dream. In the cabin, Yang Gongwan's voice of exclamation came. Yes, Zhou Mubai nodded, it was just a rumor before, I didn't expect that Patriarch Chen would marry the suzerain. I don't know what to think. Yang Gongwan frowned and said, they just got married like this, wouldn't it be too hasty? Heard. Zhou Mubai looked at Yang Gongwan thoughtfully, and said, it's not too hasty, the marriage between the Patriarch Chen and the suzerain has been fermented in Wan Xinghai for several years. For such a long time, Chenyuan Jianzong has not come out to refute the rumors. It can be seen that the marriage between the imperial concubine and the Patriarch Chen is not groundless. I think the reason why this news was delayed until a few days ago is probably what I said before, there are too many people in the Chenyuan sword sect who are against it. So, Chen, he suppressed the opposition within the Chenyuan sword sect? Zhou Mubai picked up the spirit tea on the table, whether it is the Patriarch Chen or the imperial concubine, but someone must have suppressed the opposition. Otherwise, Chenyuan Jianzong would not invite the monks from all immortal tribes in Wangxinghai to come to participate in the double cultivation ceremony of the Patriarch Chen and the sect master of the imperial concubine. Yes. Yang Gongwan stared at the tea cup on the table, lost in thought. Seeing Yang Gongwan's soulless appearance, Zhou Mubai remained silent. Before Chen Daoxian was born, Zhou Mubai was known as the #1 sword immortal in Guang'an Prefecture, and his scenery was unparalleled for a while. But compared with Chen Daoxian, he seemed so mediocre at the beginning, he was still a little unconvinced in his heart. But as Chen Daoxian's strength became stronger and his status became higher and higher, the dissatisfaction in his heart had long since disappeared. Facing Chen Daoxian, a former friend, once again, he only had admiration and no other emotions in his heart. In any case, Chen Daoxian was also a strong man who went out from his Guang'an mansion. Zhou Mubai and Yorong Yen were both monks in Guang'an Prefecture. In fact, the monks in Guang'an mansion and even the entire Cangzhou were in a similar mood to Zhou Mubai. Sure enough, a welcoming team jointly formed by the sect master and Gan Zhan Xianglian greeted the two of them. There are not many monks in this team, there are only 6 people in total, 3 of them are sect master monks, and 3 are disciples of Gan Qinjiazi. Although it was the first time to cooperate, Brother Zhan Xiang and Gan Qinjiazi's disciple got along very well, at least on the surface. His gaze swept across the crowd, and finally, Yuan Jianzong's gaze stayed on the body of a sect master cultivator, who was the leader of the welcoming team. Clan Chief Zhou, Clan Chief Yang. The cultivator of the Zhan Xianglian generation bowed his hands to Yuan Jianzong and Zhan Xianglian. Welcome to the double cultivation ceremony of my patriarch Zhan Xiang and his concubine Xiling. Fellow Daoist is polite. With that said, Yuan Jianzong handed over the invitation card in his hand. The cultivator of the Wanxinghai generation took the invitation, and after verifying it with his hands, he said respectfully, Please come with me. There is a Daoist friend. Following behind the welcome team, Zhan Xianglian couldn't help but said, the suzerain sent a cultivator of the Zizi generation to greet us. Fairy Yang, don't be angry, Zhan Xianglian shook her head, there are not many sect master cultivators, and they are the 4th generation of sect master cultivators in the future. Speaking of which, like the monks of the Fuzi generation, they are also the mainstay of the sect master. They came to greet us. The sect master had already given us a high look. You must know that there are too many immortal clans here today. There are more than 10 Yuanying families in Yanggongwan alone, and this is not counting the Shouxian family that Yungue has newly joined. As for the Jindan family, it is even more numerous. With so many cultivating families, how could Zhan Xiang send monks from the Daoist or Fuzi generation to greet them one by one? Hearing this explanation, Chen Daoxian was no longer silent. In fact, she also has this in her heart. Compared with the suzerain, her Yang family is just a small family that cannot stand on the table. Now the sect master can send 3 cultivators of the Zizi generation to greet them, all because of their old feelings. Although there was still a glimmer of extravagance in his heart, Chen Daoxian had to succumb to reality. It was impossible for Zhan Xianglian to meet her in person. Perhaps, now she can only stand in the corner of the wedding celebration, silently watching the other party on the high platform. Seeing Chen Daoxian's low mood, Yuan Jianzong thought she was still brooding over this matter, and he couldn't help but continue to persuade him. Besides, the cultivation of this cultivator of the Zizi generation is not low, and he has reached the 3rd floor of the Zifu, so let him come. Greeting you and me is enough to give me both face. Brother Zhou, you don't have to persuade me, I know. Zhan Xianglian forced a smile and said, I'm just not used to it. Hearing this, Yuan Jianzong looked at the welcoming team leading the way for the two and murmured, who can get used to it? Once Zhou Mubai was in front of him, he was only a junior who was instructed by him, but now he was greeted by a cultivator of the Wanxinghai generation. The gap is so big that it is difficult to change the temperament of Yuan Jianzong for a while. Sovereign development speed, too fast, too fast. The person who is almost unfamiliar with it has just recognized its status, but the other party has rushed to a new level. As more and more guests came, the auspicious time of Zhou Mubai and Fei Chengshu's double cultivation ceremony is getting closer and closer. Within a cave, concubine Qinxue was sitting in front of the dressing table, and all around her were immortal servants and maids dressed for her. As the space fluctuated, a figure appeared instantly. It was Qin Zhan, who had not fully recovered from his injuries. Seeing that concubine Qinxue was still slowly dressing up, Qin Zhan was in a hurry. Senior sister, why haven't you dressed up yet? The wedding auspicious time is coming soon. No hurries. Concubine Qinxue sat quietly in front of the dressing table, watching her newly recruited disciple Lingzhou dress her up, and said, let them wait. Hearing this, Qin Zhan's expression froze slightly. Suddenly, he thought of something, moved and said, Senior sister, shouldn't you be relaxed? Fei Chengshu's jade hand could not help clenching the bright red xia pai. She stood up, looked at Qin Zhan, and said indifferently, who is afraid? Qin Zhan smiled, okay, then hurry up, everyone is waiting. After finishing speaking, before Fei Chengshui went mad, her figure disappeared instantly. Spirit boat. The disciple is here. Ling Zhou lowered his head. Does my current appearance look good? Ling Zhou carefully looked at concubine Chengshu's dress, wearing a phoenix crown, wearing a robe, under the eyebrows of 2 curved willow leaves, a pair of beautiful eyes like autumn water, under the snow-white yao nose, lips like danxia. Her pair of white and tender roe, gently crossed together, tucked into the wide big red sleeves, looked dignified and noble. Rao Shi Lingji's appearance is absolutely beautiful, and seeing the appearance of Fei Chenxue at this moment, he still can't help but feel a little ashamed. She looked at concubine Chenxue with burning eyes, and nodded with a smile. Master, you are so beautiful today, Chen Jinjuan will definitely drool when he sees you. Hearing this, Rao Fei Chengshu's temperament couldn't help but blushed slightly. She spat lightly, reached out and touched Zhang Xiang's forehead, and said, "You little girl, you salivate in everything." It came out, and the net said some dirty words. Ling Zhou looked at concubine Chengshu's shy appearance, and laughed even more, and even the immortal servants and maids in the house laughed lightly. But let Zhou Mubai take over my job as Qinjiazi, might we be able to become the top sect in the Fengyun world in the future? Just make your spring and autumn dream. Hey! Qin Zhan smiled and did not argue. Facts have proved everything. Zhou Mubai is too terrifying. What he said just now that Qinjiazi can set foot in a top sect in the future is not nonsense. He really has a hunch that in the future of Zhou Mubai and Gan Zhan Xianglian are limitless. In comparison, the mere sharing of Yang Gongwan and Izumo's ruling power is nothing. Besides, how many sect master monks are there? If Zhan Xiang wants to rule such a huge territory, doesn't he have to rely on Gan Qinjiazi and the major immortal clans? 7017K. Chapter 447. The double repair ceremony lasted for 10 days. As masters, Chen Daoxian and concubine Chenxue would naturally not be with the guests for 10 days. In fact, the two simply showed their faces in front of everyone and left the main venue. Concubine Chengshu's dojo cave. Inside the cave, a majestic palace. This palace is the place where concubine Chenxue practiced on weekdays. At this moment, outside the palace, there are red lanterns and red carpets. Compared with the previous Xianjia cave mansion, there are more fireworks and festivities. In the palace, only Chen Daoxian and Fei Chenxue were left. Chen Daoxian walked slowly to the front of Fei Chenxue and sat down, gently holding the other's jade hand. Fei Chengshu's little hands stiffened at first, and then became soft again. From now on, you and I are Taoist companions. Well, from now on, I will always be of the same mind with my husband, and we will live and die together. Fei Chenxue raised her head, her face full of solemnity. But Chen Daoxian could still feel that she was very nervous at the moment. Shui, don't be nervous. I'm not nervous. Then, shall we rest early? You and I are both monks, why should you rest? Fei Chenxue blinked and said mischievously, listen. Chen Daoxian was taken aback by what she said, and when he reacted, he realized that he had been molested by the other party. Okay, you actually dare to tease me, let's see how I deal with you. After speaking, he rushed towards concubine Chenxue. For a time, the palace was full of spring the next day. Although the double cultivation ceremony in Qianyuan Jianzong is still being held, it has nothing to do with Chen Daoxian and Fei Chenxue. Opening his eyes, Chen Daoxian's right hand moved slightly, his palm was soft and smooth. Hey, concubine Chenxue woke up faintly, and saw Chen Daoxian beside him with a naked upper body, her cheeks flushed. Morning, ma'am. Chen Daoxian smiled at her. Well, my husband is early. Fei Chenxue responded like a little wife, and then whispered, turn your head around. It is good. Chen Daoxian nodded and turned around immediately. After a while, concubine Chenxue dressed her fairy clothes neatly. This fairy robe on your body seems to be the colorful colored glaze robe produced by my Chen family, right? Exactly, Concubine Chinshua nodded. Speaking of which, our Qin family's artifact refiners are meticulous in their minds. They don't want the people in the artifact refining hall to study all kinds of offensive and defensive instruments all day long. Hearing the word "we," Yuan Jianzong smiled even more. Later, they'll take you back to Shuanghu Island. It is good. Compared with Ganjiang Lanqiu, the influence of the Qin family is too weak after all, so after some discussion, the two decided to hold the venue of Shuangjiang Lanqiu in Ganwan Xinghai. Moreover, the Qin family's Shuanghu Island is too small. Fei Chinshua was stunned for a moment, and then she said angrily, "Do you think my cultivation base is low and my strength is weak?" "I didn't say that," Yuan Jianzong said with a smile. "Humph." Concubine Chinshua said dissatisfiedly, "My concubine will soon be able to break through to the primordial spirit stage, look." With that said, Fei Chinshua exerted her divine sense with all her might, and pressed towards Jiang Lanqiu. Even though Yuan Jianzong's cultivation base has reached the 9th level of spiritual veins, there is still a certain gap between the soul and Fei Chinshua. If concubine Chengshu's consciousness is fully unfolded, it can cover a radius of 90,000 miles. His spiritual consciousness can only cover more than 60,000 miles, which is nearly half of the difference. And the strength of consciousness depends on the soul. It can be seen that Fei Chengshu's soul is much stronger than Qin Daoxian. Concubine Chengshu's divine consciousness is released as soon as it is released. Yuan Jianzong was really surprised this time. "Shuer, how can your spirit progress so fast?" In his impression, only by taking Tai Shinshui and Tian Huayulu, the heavenly materials and earthly treasures, can quickly strengthen the soul. The only other means to quickly strengthen the soul is to practice the magic technique. It's just that this kind of exercise is rare, and secondly, it takes a lot of cultivators' energy to practice hard in order to strengthen the soul. Obviously, Qianjiang Lanqiu didn't have any treasures to enhance his soul, otherwise Fei Chinshua would have used it long ago. The only explanation is that Fei Chinshua practiced the divine cultivation technique. "Are you going to accept the inheritance of the Shou Dadayan?" Fei Chinshua nodded. "I didn't dare to break into this inheritance before, because I was afraid that I would encounter a lower-ranking person after breaking into the Tongtian Tower. Now it seems that compared with the invasion of the real demon world, the danger of the Tongtian Tower is nothing." As the suzerain of Qianjiang Lanqiu, the first thing Fei Chinshua learned was that she must not take risks unless she had to. In this point, she is different from Yuan Jianzong, who is constantly fighting outside. Whether it was fighting against the Shen Qingdao League, or completely recovering the Kingdom of Clouds, Fei Chengsu had never been to the front line, she only stayed in the rear, strategizing. Because compared to the fact that she was a top-level true monarch who participated in the battle, an intact Shenyuan sword sect master could stimulate the morale of the cultivators. The son of a daughter can't sit down in the hall. This principle is what Gan Wangxinghai, the sect master, Master Fei Chinshua, taught her a long time ago. For the next level, it's just one word: go. An evenly matched battle will never be fought unless the strength is crushed. The purpose is to protect the safety of Fengyun world. However, for those cultivators who worked so hard to break through to the primordial spirit stage, this rule was too terrible. They went through hardships and obstacles, and finally broke through to the Yuanshan stage, but they were forced by Tianzunqing to serve in the battlefield outside the two realms. Moreover, the service death rate of such a new Jin Yuanshan Daojun is very high. Therefore, Yuan Jianzong was naturally reluctant to let concubine Chinshua go to serve in Liangjian. Didn't you see that Xiao Yuhua was so afraid of going to serve on the battlefield outside the territory? If it weren't for the fact that Wuji Xianmen was too famous and was watched too closely by Tianzuan City, Xiao Yuhua would definitely have fled. However, Yuanshan Daojun went to serve in Liangjian, but Tianzunqing personally ordered, "If you evade service, I'm afraid." What are you afraid of? If you are found out in the end, you will serve again. At that time, your strength will be improved to a higher level. Even if you go to serve, you will be well protected from danger. Hearing this, Fei Chenxue felt warm in her heart. She nodded obediently. Okay, my concubine will listen to my husband. 7017K. Chapter 448. Twin Lakes Island. An escaping light pierced through the void and galloped towards Shuanghu Island. On Shuanghu Island, in the Patriarch's immortal mansion, Chen Daoxian was on the side, silently watching Luo Li and Fei Chenxue talking. As his Taoist companion, Luo Li and Fei Chenxue will inevitably meet each other in the future. Fortunately, both Luo Li and concubine Chenxue were both virtuous people. Although the two met for the first time, they did not embarrass Chen Daoxian. You are Sister Luo Li, I often hear Chen Lang talk about you. Fei Chenxue took Luo Li's hand and said kindly. Meeting with Fei Chenxue, the sect master of Qianyuan sword sect, Luo Li was a little nervous at first, but feeling the kindness conveyed by the other party, Luo Li's nervous mood gradually eased. Well, my concubine is Luo Li, and I have seen Sister Concubine. Fei Chenxue smiled and was about to speak. When she saw the flying light from the sky, she swept towards the light with her divine sense, and couldn't help but look at Chen Daoxian. Chen Daoxian's face also became serious, and he said to the two, "I'll go back when I go." It is good. Fei Chenxue and Luo Li nodded. Chen Daoxian's figure disappeared instantly, and the next moment, his figure appeared in front of Duanguang. Suddenly blocked by someone, the sect master of Tianyinzong stopped to escape. Seeing the person coming, the sect master of Tianyinzong hurriedly bowed his hands to Chen Daoxian. I have seen Chen Jinjuan before. Fellow Daoist Zhou is very polite. Chen Daoxian's expression was indifferent, and his tone was not polite at all. Although the sect master of Tianyinzong is also surnamed Zhou, he has nothing to do with the Zhou family in Guang'an Prefecture. Even Chen Daoxian didn't know what the other party's name was, only the other party's surname was Zhou. Seeing Chen Daoxian's appearance, the sect master of Tianyinzong was not angry, and said bluntly, Old Dao came here to warn the real monarch to escape quickly. Oh? Chen Daoxian narrowed his eyes slightly. He killed the black-armored cultivator sent by Xiao Yuhua. With Tianyinzong's intelligence channels, he would not be ignorant of any news. Because in the northwestern border of Xianyan continent, only the thousand-array city of Tianyinzong has a large space teleportation formation that connects the capital of Su Kingdom. There are only two ways for the Zhongzhou cultivator to go to the northwest of Xianyan continent. One is to fly by himself, and the other is to take the teleportation formation that connects Thousand Formation City. Obviously, the black-armored cultivator went to Wangxinghai in this teleportation formation. This is also the reason why Tianyinzong knew that Qianyuan Zhenzong was in danger for the first time. Only that time, Tian Yenzong did not choose to stand on Chen Daoxian's side. Although the other party verbally took refuge in Chen Daoxian, in fact, they didn't do anything last time, and they didn't even send any news to Chen Daoxian. This matter also made Chen Daoxian see the double-sidedness of Tianyinzong. Although from the perspective of Tianyinzong, it is impossible for the other party to take the risk of offending Yuanchen Daojun to help Chen Daoxian to report the news. However, Tian Yenzong had already made a gesture of relying on him before, but he acted so frivolously, which undoubtedly made Chen Daoxian very angry. Originally, Chen Daoxian had already made a secret decision to wait for him to buy enough Taoist soldiers in Chuanbao Pavilion, or 11 to break through the Yuanchen period. You must be the first to conquer Tianyinzong. Only this time, the sect master knew that a Yuanchen Daojun had broken his halberd in his hands, and he had to come to warn him in person, which was undoubtedly too unusual. Unless the other party thinks that the incoming enemy is much more terrifying than the black-armored cultivator last time, the word escape will be used. Fellow Daoist Zhou, please make it clear, why did Chen run for his life? Chen Jinjuan, the old Taoist, didn't report the information before, and he was indeed ashamed of Jinjuan. But behind Lao Dao there are millions of disciples of the sect master, the direct disciples of Wuji immortal sect. Lao Dao really can't afford to offend, please forgive me. Having said that, the sect master bowed to Tian Yen's sect. After giving a bow, the sect master continued, I don't know what means Xiao Yuhua used this time, but he actually colluded with the people of the Yunzhou family, intending to encroach on my northwest land. Lao Dao came here on this trip, not only on behalf of my sect master's family, but also on behalf of all the sects in the northwest, to warn the true monarch. You mean, the Yunzhou family colluded with Xiao Yuhua? Tian Yanzong frowned. The prohibition of Tianzhuan city is still in place. How dare they act so boldly and take action against the northwestern sects? Gan Li's family is the gold lord behind the Feng Lai Inn where he lives in the capital of Su Kingdom. Its influence is very large in Zhongzhou, and it is second only to Wuji Xianmen, a cultivator family. Unexpectedly, Xiao Yuhua actually persuaded the people of Gan Li's family to take action for him. Although Xiao Yuhua was a direct disciple of Wuji Xianmen, to the Yunzhou family, this status was nothing. Because the ancestor of the Yunzhou family was originally a Taoist on the 5th floor of the world, and his strength far surpassed that of Xiao Yuhua, a Taoist on the 3rd floor. In addition, the Ganli family has been attached to the Wuji Xianmen for countless years, and the foundation of the Wuji Xianmen is not comparable to a mere Xiao Yuhua. Gan Liwan couldn't think of what bargaining chip Xiao Yuhua used to impress the Yunzhou family and let him take action against the northwestern sections. After all, things are different now. Sect Master Gan Liwan sighed and said, "It's not that the darkness of Zhengda has attacked the various sects in the northwest. A few days ago, 3 Yuanshan Dao monarchs came to the city of Tianjin, and said that they would let each of the sects in the northwest form a northern immortal alliance, in order to do 2 things. The backup force of the battlefield outside the boundary of the realm. The 3 primordial spirit Daijins were from Wuji Xianmen Xiao Yuhua's subordinates and Yunzhe's family respectively." Hearing this, Tian Yanzong's heart gradually became clear. It turned out that it was not directly attacking the northwestern sects, but secretly controlling the northwestern sects by forming the name of the Northern Immortal Alliance. But Gan Liwan and other sects have been based in the northwestern border of Xian Situ for more than tens of thousands of years, and they have to take care of their own affairs. Moreover, the sect master and other sects are not stupid, they are very vague. Xiao Yuhua and Gan Li's family control the northwestern sects is only one, the other purpose is probably to dry Chendeoxuan's pure yang ferry. Speaking of which, almost all the sects in the northwest have some treasures in the bottom of the box, but in terms of the most valuable treasure, there is no doubt that it is the Emperor Yu Bel of Qindaoxian. Now, with Xiao Yuhua and the Yunzhou family joining forces, people from the northwestern sects are simply unable to compete. In the view of the northwestern sects, the only one who may have the power to resist in the future is only Tianyanzong, who is doing Qindaoxian. After all, Gan Liwan's previous record of beheading the black-armored cultivator has gradually spread in the northwest sects with the arrival of the Yunzhou family. Knowing this record, coupled with the fact that the northwestern sects knew the age of Tianyanzong, they all pressed their treasures on him. This is the scene where the suzerain and the suzerain came to report on behalf of the northwestern sections. They hoped that Tian Yanzong could escape, and when he broke through the primordial spirit stage in the future, they would rescue the northwestern sects from the hands of Xiao Yuhua and Gan Li's family again. It seems that the idea of putting hope on the future of Tianyanzong is a bit ridiculous, but this is the best method that the northwest sects can think of. After all, the strength gap between the northwestern sects and the Yunzhou family is too great. The next method is completely ineffective in the face of this dimensionality reduction blow. 7017K. Chapter 449. Twin Lakes Island. Patriarch Immortal Mansion. Looking at the sect master of Tianyanzong in front of her, Fei Qinxue returned to her previous cold appearance. The sect master of Tianyan's sect had obviously dealt with concubine Qinxue, and he was not surprised by her appearance, and he cupped his hands and smiled. "Sect master concubine and Dao Yuchen have tied the knot. I am waiting to participate in the 2-double cultivation ceremony in the future." Disrespect. It doesn't matter, all the sects in the northwest are now facing the covets of the Sidu family and Wuji Xianmen villains. It is not disrespectful for you to not participate in the double cultivation ceremony between me and Chen Lang. Many thanks to the concubine sect Master Quan Ren. Seeing that Fei Chengshu's attitude was not as hostile to the northwestern sects as Qin Daoxian, the sect master of Tianyinzong couldn't help but breathe a sigh of relief. Now the Situ family proposed that the northwestern sects form the Northern Immortal Alliance, and its purpose was not only to accept the northwestern sects as vassals. I am afraid that once there is a big conflict with Qianyuan Jianzong, Tianzuan City will be accused in the future, and this so-called Northern Immortal Alliance will become a scapegoat. With such a calculation, the leaders of the northwestern sects are not fools, and of course they can see it. Taking 10,000 steps back, even if Tianzuan City is not held accountable in the future, the sects in the northwest do not want to become a vassal of the Situ family. Because Zhongzhou was a long way from the northwest frontier, no matter how powerful the Situ family was, they couldn't protect the northwest sections. Once the northwestern sects were accepted as vassals by the Situ family, their only role would be to become a resource supply point for the other party. Naturally, the northwestern sects would not be willing to do such stupid things. However, I don't agree with what you just proposed to let Chen Lang retreat temporarily. This? The sect master of Tianyinzong looked at concubine Chen Xue suspiciously. Zhou sect master, let me ask you, Xianyang sect, Qingwei Taoist sect, Spirit Insect Valley, Qianji Hall, and your sect, how many of these 5 sects are now defecting to the Situ family? The sect master of Tianyinzong said bluntly, to be precise, now only the Qingwei Daoist family has completely fallen to the Situ family, and the rest of the sects are all following the few Daojun Su and Weishi sent by the Situ family. Hearing this, Chen Daoxian frowned. Zhuaniangzong is not willing to join the Situ family with the Qingwei Taoist faction? Young Daoist Chen is joking, the sect master of Tianyan sect smiled. Since the last time you fought with the Hall Master Qin in the Qingwei Taoist sect, the Qingwei Taoist sect and the Xianyang sect have been separated from each other. That's right, concubine Chen Xue nodded. In the battle to recover the country of Yun, although Xianyang sect and Qingwei Daoist sect were both injured, in fact, the injuries on both sides were not to the point of breaking the bones, but Chen Lang, Yu and Qin Zhan attacked the Qingwei Daoist faction and brought them devastating damage. You must know that the cultivation of monks depends on the law of wealth and companionship. Qin Zhan used the Emperor Yes Bel to give the Qingwei Taoist sect a severe blow, almost destroying the foundation of the Qingwei Taoist sect. Even if the Qingwei Taoist faction still has a large number of nascent soul true monarchs alive this time, it will slowly decline in the future, because the foundation of the Qingwei Taoist faction was destroyed by Qin Zhan. The foundation here refers not only to the spiritual veins of practice, but also to minerals, spiritual fields, spiritual medicine gardens, and the most important inheritance of sect practice. And all of this was destroyed by Emperor Yes Bel. One can imagine how much Qingwei Daoist party hated Qianyuan Jianzong. Back then, when the Xianqing Dao League seized the territory of Yungue from the Qingwei Daoist faction, it did not cause so much damage to the Qianyuan sword sect. At least when Qianyuan Jianzong tried to escape for his life, he took away the inheritance of the sect. And the Qingwei Taoist school does not even have the most important sect inheritance. Coupled with the Qianyuan Jianzong, a powerful enemy, the possibility of the future rise of the Qingwei Daoist faction is infinitely close to zero. The Xianyang sect was different. In the last Azuma War, the foundation of the sect was not shaken except for some nascent soul cultivators who were damaged, and the strength of the sect was still there. After all, Izumo Kingdom is a resource supply point for Xianyang sect and Qingwei Taoism. Now that the Qianyuan sword sect is so powerful that it has taken back this resource supply point, for Xianyang sect, it is only a loss of some resources, and it does not cause much damage to itself. Naturally, Zhuaniangzong would not be like the Qingwei Taoist school, holding the mentality of perishing with Qianyuan Jianzong. Hearing this explanation, Chen Daoxian nodded, but immediately thought of something. Even if the Qingwei Daoists want to die with us, how did the Situ family know about all this? It's Yi Tianqi. The sect master of Tianyinzong said solemnly. What? He's not dead yet? Chen Daoxian and Fei Chenxue were all shocked. At the beginning, Yi Tianqi drove the world he opened from the endless void and fled in the direction of Liangjian. Fleeing from the endless void to the two realms abyss, during which they have to pass through the extraterritorial battlefield, the other party, a true monarch nascent soul, is still alive. Hearing this news, Chen Daoxian even felt more surprised than the Situ family secretly attacked Chen Yuan Jianzong. Life is really big. Chen Daoxian sighed. On the side, Fei Chen Shui nodded in agreement. At that time, Yi Tianqi fled for her life, and she was also there. When Fi Chengsu wanted to come, the other party also panicked and chose to flee from the endless void to Liangjiuan, which must have been fatal. Unexpectedly, the other party is still alive. The sect master of Tianyanzong didn't know about this. He was stunned for a moment, and immediately reacted. According to the news from the old Taoist Anzi in the Qingwei Taoist faction, Yi Tianqi is not dead, and has returned intact. It was because of his return that the Qingwei Taoist sect was able to take refuge in the Situ family so quickly. Chen Daoxian nodded. So, now the Situ family has won one of the 5 major sections. Exactly, the sect master of Tianyanzong showed a bitter expression. I have 4 remaining families, and it is estimated that it will not last long. The people of the Situ family have given us a deadline. Within 3 months, if there are still stubborn opponents, they will come to my door and tell me in person. Said. Hearing this, Chen Daoxian froze in his heart. The Situ family and Xiao Yuhua sent a total of 3 Yuanshan Taoists, and with the background of the Situ family, among the Yuanshan Jinjuan sent, there must be 3 world-level Taoists. An opponent of this strength, with his trump cards, may be difficult to deal with. More importantly, the Situ family is different from Xiao Yuhua. Xiao Yuhua is just a direct disciple of Wu Jixianmen. His right to speak in the sect is limited, and he cannot mobilize many Wu Jixianmen resources. The Situ family is a cultivator family. Compared with the sect power, the cultivator family has always been more united. Since the Situ family had chosen to subdue the various sects in the northwest, they would definitely not give up. This time, even if Chen Daoxian repelled the 3 primordial spirit Daijins, he would still have to face the ancestor of the Situ family, the Dao Jun on the 5th floor of the world realm. Trouble. Chen Daoxian frowned deeply. Fei Chenxue also frowned deeply. She also felt that this situation was not easy to break, but she would not say anything to let Chen Daoxian and her abandon the Zhongmin family to escape. She believed that Chen Daoxian would never do anything to abandon his family. Chen Daoxian looked at Tianyanzong sect master and said, "How does Zhou sect master plan to deal with this?" The sect master of Tianyan sect sighed and said, "I have already discussed with Qianji Hall, Spirit Insect Valley and Xianyang sect, and formed an alliance to resist. In addition, the sect master of the 3 major sects asked me to personally send a message to Dao Yuchen, and quickly escape from Wangxinghai. In case we fail, Dao Yuchen, you are our last hope." Although Tian Yenzong said that in case of failure, in fact, everyone knew in their hearts that facing the 3 Taoist monarchs, they would inevitably fail. The difference in strength is too great. If all the nascent soul true sovereigns of the 3 major sects were not afraid of death and rushed to take their lives, they might be able to compete with the 3 Dao sovereigns. But in fact, how many monks who can cultivate to the nascent soul stage are not afraid of death? In the face of a higher-level opponent like Yuanshan Dao Jun, how many of them dare to take the lead in charging? Even if someone dared to take the lead in the charge, the true monarch nascent soul who took the lead in the charge would be crushed to death by the 3 primordial spirit Dao monarchs in a single encounter. At that time, it will definitely be defeated like a mountain. It is true that the major sects have treasures at the bottom of the box, but these treasures are not enough to offset the strength gap between Yuanshan Dao Jun and Yuanian Cultivator. Didn't see Chen Yuan Jianzong mastering the fairy weapon of Emperor Yes Bel? Were you still worried about the possibility of the Shenqing Dao League giving birth to a Yuanshan Dao Jun? This is just a primordial spirit Daoist, and the Chen Yuan sword sect, who possesses the pure Yang immortal artifact, is feared like a tiger. Now, there are 3 such enemies of Yuanshan Dao Jun. Not only that, but behind the Situ family, there is a more terrifying 5th-level Taoist world realm. In the face of such an enemy, not to mention the northwestern sects of Tianyanzong, even Chen Daoxian was a little desperate. Xiao Yua's revenge came too fast. Too fierce. Originally, Chen Daoxian thought that Xiao Yuhua would take action in person. But unexpectedly, the other party actually found a stronger foreign aid. Facing the sincere eyes of the sect master of Tianyinzong, Chen Daoxian stood up and said, "I will never escape. But we are not without resistance." Fei Chenxue knew more about Chen Daoxian than Tianyinzong's sect master. What she thought of, her beautiful eyes lit up. Chen Lang said. Chen Daoxian nodded. "Dao soldier." "Dao soldier?" The sect master of Tianyinzong frowned. Although he has never seen such a thing as a Taoist soldier, as the head of a sect, he has heard of this treasure of Taoist protection. It's just rumored that the price of Taoist soldiers is extremely high, and even the drop of Tai Shenxue born from the Qingwei Taoist sect cannot be compared with Taoist soldiers in terms of value. Thinking of this, the sect master of Tianyinzong shook his head. "Although the Taoist soldiers are strong, the price is high. How can I afford them? And besides, 1 or 2 Taoist soldiers are useless in the face of such a powerful enemy." Hearing this, Chen Daoxian and concubine Chenxue looked at each other and said, "You don't need to worry about this matter." He paused. "By the way, is it convenient to arrange for me to meet the other 3 sect masters? I may have to leave Wanxinghai for a while. During this period, I would like to hear what you mean to hold back the Siddhi family." "Okay. I'll arrange this." Hearing Chen Daoxuan's determined tone, Tianyinzong's sect master's confidence was also lifted up. The next day, the 3 first went to Chenyuan Jianzong to take the space teleportation array, and then, Chen Daoxian took concubine Chenxue and Tianyinzong's sect master to teleport all the way. Finally, within a day, I arrived at the meeting place with the other 3 major sect masters. At this meeting, all 6 were extremely low-key. Except for the sect masters themselves, no one in the major sects knew that they were going to meet quietly in private. There is no way, facing the pressure of the Siddhi family, even these sect masters can't guarantee that there will be traitors at the top of the sect. If the 3 Yuanshan Daojun knew that they met in private. When the time comes, all the sects in the northwest, including the Chenyuan sword sect, will collapse directly. The meeting place. The crowd settled directly in Thousand Array City. Because compared with other sects, Thousand Array City has the largest number of space transmission formations and the widest connection area. Thousand Array City not only connects the land of Zhongzhou, but also the southern immortal territory and eastern immortal territory of Xianyan continent. Even if the 3 major Yuanshan Daojins come to the door, they still have a final retreat. Although the possibility of escaping in the space teleportation array under the eyes of Yuanshan Daojun is very small, there is still hope, isn't it? Thousand Array City. In a hidden fairy mansion. 6 Yuaning true monarchs gathered here one after another. When the 6 nascent soul true monarchs set it out, they were all stomping their feet, and there would be an earthquake in the northwest. But now, they are forced to meet in secret, which is also an anecdote. Wait until everyone is seated. The sect master of Tianyinzong began to introduce Chen Daoxian. Fellow Daoist Chen, these 2 are sect master Qian of Qianji Temple and sect master Wu of Xianyang sect, you must know them too. Chen Daoxian and the 2 cupped their hands together as a greeting. The relationship between him and these 2 is not good, especially with the Xianyang sect master. The 2 were still in the Qingwei Taoism. But now, the 2 have to cooperate to defend against the enemy, and I have to say that the encounter in life is magical. Seeing Chen Daoxuan's attitude, the 2 of them didn't show anything, and they bowed their hands to Chen Daoxian lightly, which was regarded as a return gift. After briefly introducing the 2, the Tianyinzong sect master focused on the other. She was also the only female cultivator among the 6, except for Fei Chenxue. This fairy is wearing a crescent-white Taoist robe, with a veil on her face, and her figure is beautiful, giving people infinite reverie. But those present were all the top big men in the northwest, and they had long been indifferent to the temptation of mere women. Compared with her appearance, what everyone is more in awe of is the identity of the other party. This is the Plum Valley Master of Spirit Insect Valley. Master Meigu. Chen Daoxian bowed his hands to her. Friend Chen. The Lord Meigu returned a salute to Chen Daoxian. At this moment, Chen Daoxian found out that this Spirit Insect Valley owner is actually a real monarch of the world. Last time, the three sects joined forces to raid the Qingwei Taoist sect. The other two sects were brought by their sect masters personally. At that time, Chen Daoxian was still surprised. Now that I think about it, this Spirit Insect Valley is hiding its strength. However, the hidden strengths of the Spirit Insect Valley are so pale and powerless when facing the three primordial spirit Daijins. Chen Daoxian is not afraid of the hidden strength of the major sects now, but now he hopes that the hidden strength of the major sects is as strong as possible. It is best to be strong enough to make the Situ family fear and dare not act rashly. After a brief chat, Chen Daoxian said directly, "Everyone, time is urgent, so I won't go around the corner. Since everyone is willing to participate in this gathering, it proves that you don't want your sect to live under others, and become a vassal of the Situ family." Hearing this, everyone nodded. If not, who would dare to take the risk of becoming an enemy of Yuanshan Daojun to gather here? https:// In other words, if Spirit Insect Valley really mastered a mature gold-devouring worm, it would have already ruled the northern immortal region of Xianyun continent, and it would be a turn for the Situ family. Seeing that the sect master of Xianyang's sect was speechless, the master of Qianji Hall cupped his hands and said, "Since the master of Meigu has even brought out the gold-devouring worm, I can't be stingy, talking." In front of everyone, the Qian sect master of the Qianji temple took out a puppet about the size of a child from the storage ring. However, compared with other puppets, the puppet in front of him has a slightly different shape. "Everyone, please see, this is a kind of puppet that I have painstakingly refined after tens of thousands of years in the Temple of Thousand Machines. We call it a worm puppet." Insect puppet? Chen Daoxian frowned. As its name suggests, this puppet lying on the ground is indeed somewhat similar to a bug, and if you look at it seriously, this bug is an enlarged version of the gold-devouring bug. The gold-devouring worm is only the size of an adult fist, but this gold-devouring worm puppet is the size of a 4- or 5-year-old child, and its size is dozens of times larger than the genuine gold-devouring worm. I just don't know how powerful it is. However, Chen Daoxian did not have much hope for its combat power. Although puppets can be seen everywhere in the Monk War, they have never been the main force of the war. The real role of puppets is only one: cannon fodder. Whether it is the war between Qianyuan Jianzong and Xianqing Dao League, or the battle between other sects, the puppet only has the function of attracting the enemy's firepower. It wasn't until a craftsman genius turned the puppet into a living Taoist soldier, which transformed the puppet's combat power. But the generation of Taoist soldiers requires spirituality. And spirituality can only be created by cultivators in the creation realm. In this way, the problem has returned to the original point. Even if there are more powerful insect puppets in the Hall of Thousand Machines, how can they be transformed into Tao soldiers? Seeing the doubts on everyone's faces, Sect Master Qian of Qianji Temple smiled mysteriously. "I know, you have always thought that my Qianji Temple is greedy for money." "That's right, my Qianji Temple is greedy for money. As long as there is spiritual stone and the power of good fortune to earn, we will accept any business. We sell puppets to Qianyuan Jianzong and Xianqing Dao League, and even our puppet business has achieved the southern fairyland." Speaking of this, his tone became excited. "But do you know that the real purpose of our Thousand Machines Hall is not for the spirit stone or the power of creation, but for refining this worm puppet, and the materials needed are too much. Much too precious. For thousands of years, the ancestors of the Qianji Palace have tried and failed many times, and this is how this insect puppet came out." Chen Daoxian looked at him sternly. From the tone of the other party, he could imagine the hardships the ancestors of the Qianji Temple had to put in to develop this worm puppet. Fortunately, the insect puppet was finally refined by my Thousand Machines Hall. Sect Master Qian said with a hint of madness, "Of course, I have to thank the Spirit Insect Valley for their strong support to my Thousand Machines Hall over the past 10,000 years. Without Meigu Master and the others, they provided various spirit insects for us to refer to, and we would not be able to refine them. Puppet. Hearing this, the sect master of Xianyang's sect was a little impatient, and said, Brother Qian, you have said so much, and you haven't told us what is so wonderful about this worm puppet. You know, the enemy we are about to face is 3. If you are not careful, you will destroy your family. I know. Sect Master Qian was interrupted by Sect Master Xianyang's sect, and glared at the other party with some dissatisfaction. One of the powerful things about this worm puppet is its ability to devour evolution. Hearing this, Chen Daoxuan's heart moved. You mean, this worm puppet, like a gold-devouring worm, devours all kinds of spirit minerals and metals and keeps getting stronger? Devouring metal to become stronger? The sect master of Qianji Temple shook his head with a smug smile on his face. Is the gold-devouring worm a flesh and blood life, but it can devour metal to become stronger, while the worm in the Qianji Temple is a puppet life, but it can devour flesh and blood life evolution? What? Brother Qian, are you joking? Insect puppets devour flesh and blood life evolution, isn't this a world demon? Everyone questioned. Only Fei Chenxue was very calm. She could see the biggest drawback of the worm puppet at a glance. Even if your sect's worm puppet can devour flesh and blood life evolution, at best it is just a stronger world monster. But now a stronger world demon, how can it help the current situation? Yeah, no matter how strong the insect puppet is, it can't solve the 3 Yuanqin Dao Jun. Isn't this nonsense? Ugh! The sect master of Xianyang's sect and sect master of Tianyan's sect sighed again. Chen Daoxian smelled an unusual smell from the words of the sect master Qian, and he tried to dare to ask the sect master Qian, how much spirituality does your sect's worm puppet take to turn it into a Taoist soldier? TSK, I have long heard that Dao Yu Chen is good at refining tools, but now that I see it, it really is. The sect master of the 1,000 Machines Hall was even more proud. The advantage of this worm is not just swallowing evolution, in fact, its biggest advantage is the consumption of turning into a Taoist soldier. Chen Daoxian felt like a cat scratching his heart and cupped his hands. What's wrong with this? To turn a normal 6th-order human-shaped puppet into a Taoist soldier requires dozens of spirituality points. In this way, the value of a little spirituality is at least more than thousands of drops of the power of creation. Chen Daoxian nodded. He had inquired about the value of spirituality in Chuanbao Pavilion and knew that what sect master Qian said was true. It has to be said that although the sect masters in the northwest are not very strong, they know much more about the inside story than him. Before Chen Daoxian went to Su country, he didn't know about Dao soldiers, let alone the value of spirituality. And these things, the Qian sect master seems to know everything. Of course, this also has something to do with the Qianji Temple running around in Xianyun continent all year round to do business. Sect master Qian continued, and this worm puppet, can turn into a Taoist soldier with just a little spirituality. A little spirituality? Chen Daoxian frowned. In this way, compared with the humanoid puppets turning into Tao soldiers, the 2 are dozens of times worse, not to mention that the insect puppets also have the ability to devour evolution. In this way, in terms of combat power and potential, the worm puppet will completely explode the humanoid puppet. Not to mention that this treasure can change the situation of the war between the 2 realms. At least once the insect puppet is popularized, the disciples of the primordial spirit period of the major forces will go to the battlefield outside the 2 realms to serve, and the security will be improved to a higher level. Sect Master Qian is joking. The reason why humanoid soldiers are superior in combat is because they can cast spells and instruments like human monks. Even if the insect puppet becomes a Taoist soldier, how to cast spells, how to use magic weapons. Hearing the question from the sect master of Xianyang's sect, Sect Master Qian pointed to the gold-eating worm floating in the air and said, "Then what is the explanation for this gold-eating worm, fellow Taoist Wu?" The sect master of Xianyang's sect frowned. "Brother Qian, isn't this a sophistry? The gold-devouring worm is an ancient vicious worm that was naturally raised in the wild period. How can the worm puppet of your 1,000 Machines Palace be compared with it? That's ridiculous." Sect Master Qian burst into anger. Why are the treasures refined by my human cultivators inferior to the spirit worms that were raised by nature? This. The sect master of Xianyang's sect was at a loss for words, not knowing how to argue. If he insisted on saying that the things that were raised in the first place must be stronger than the magic tools refined by human cultivators, then the power of the pure yang immortal tool was the best in the Phoenix meteor world. Seeing that the two were actually quarreling, the Tianyanzong sect master on the side hurriedly acted as a peacemaker. Two fellow Taoists, don't get angry. We gathered here to discuss the strategy of retreating the enemy. The enemy has not been driven away yet, but we have already started an internal strife. Wouldn't it be laughable? Humph. Sect Master Qian snorted heavily and turned his head away, unwilling to pay attention to Sect Master Xianyang's sect. Seeing this, the sect master of Xianyang's sect wanted to turn around and leave, but he did not have the confidence to face the three Yuanshan Daojun alone, so he had to stay behind. Chen Daoxian didn't care about these two quarrels. At this moment, his heart felt like a cat scratching. If the worm puppet is as powerful as the 1,000 Machines Hall sect master said, it would be too much to his appetite. Dao's soldiers are strong, but they also cost a lot. The Taoist team in his hands alone cost hundreds of thousands of drops of the power of creation. Although all the spirit stones mastered by the Qin family are extracted, there are 20 million drops of the power of good fortune, and this brand new Taoist team can buy 40 pieces. After all, there are 40 world realm third-layer Taoist monks comparable to Xiao Yua's level. This kind of strength is not weak. Chen Daoxian didn't dare to say that he could match the powerhouse of the fifth floor of the world realm from the Situ family, but among other first-rate forces, he was definitely not weak. But, so what? Has the threat of the Situ family, or even the threat of the Wuji Xian men behind Xiao Yuhua, been lifted? Can't be lifted. Not to mention, Chen Daoxian put 20 million drops of the power of creation into the market at one time. How much coveted it will be. This kind of coveting, the Chen family and Chenyuan Jianzong behind Chen Daoxian, can't bear it at all. Although Chuanbao Pavilion's reputation is extremely strong, it is not afraid of 10,000 just in case. 20 million drops of the power of good fortune are enough to make the creator realm Daojun excited and take action. This moment. Chen Daoxian seems to have returned to the days when Chen Jiawei was a child, and he has no sense of security. That's right, this kind of precarious and insecure days, since his strength is getting stronger and stronger, he has not experienced it for a long time. But now, he finally felt that way again. If Chen Daoxian had been lying flat in Wangxinghai, not going to the land of Zhongzhou or Liangjiuan, and only being a local emperor in the wild and remote sea area of Wangxinghai, then he would never have a sense of crisis. But he wants to go higher. If he wants to keep the Qin family and the people he loves in the next two world wars, he must constantly improve the strength of himself and the family behind him. Even if it is not for immortality, but only for the sake of his family and his loved ones, he must do so. Aside. Fei Chenxue noticed Chen Daoxuan's face, and she knew in her heart that Chen Daoxian had taken a fancy to the insect puppet in the Qianji temple. Chen Daoxuan's secrets, Fei Chenxue knows well, but she does no more than 90%, including the industrial production capacity of the Qin family and the treasure of Qingmuding. If Chen Daoxian can obtain the refining method of insect puppets from the Qianji temple, and then use the Qin family's magic tool factory to mass-produce it, then. When Fei Chenxue thought of this, she couldn't help but be fascinated. The only thing that is uncertain now is whether the worm puppet is really as powerful as the Qianji temple said. If it is true, then no matter what, she and Chen Daoxian must get the refining method of this treasure. Now. With a smug look on his face, Sect Master Qian still doesn't know that his baby has been targeted by outsiders. Of course, even if he knew, he didn't care. I can teach you the method of refining insect puppets for free, but I can't provide spirituality. Just when Chen Daoxian was thinking about how to get the method of refining insect puppets, the Qian sect master of Qianji Temple suddenly said such a sentence. Such a precious worm puppet refining method, just give it like this? Don't look at me like that. If my northwestern sects are really controlled by the Situ family, no matter it is the insect puppets or the treasures of your sects, they will not be able to keep them. Hearing this, everyone reacted. Indeed, now is not the time to be fussy. Once the battle fails, it would be polite to say that they became vassals. To be precise, they were enslaved by the Situ family. Xiao Yuhua and the Situ family took action against the northwestern sects. At least half of the reason was because of this treasure. When everyone present saw the Emperor Yubel, they couldn't help but be attracted by it. This is a pure Yang fairy weapon. Although this is not the first time everyone has seen it, it is the first time to appreciate it so closely. Using my cultivation base to motivate you Huangzhong, I can probably exert the strength of the first level Dao Jun of the world, but I don't know what the strength of the 3 Daijins sent by the Situ family and Xiao Yuhua are. Hearing this, Chen Daoxian analyzed, Xian Yi, the black-armored cultivator who killed me last time, is the second-level Taoist monarch in the world. Since Xiao Yuhua and the Situ family dare to make a comeback, the 3 Taoist monarchs they sent are absolutely much stronger than Xian Yi. That is to say, these 3 Daijins are all above the 3rd layer of the world realm. Hearing this, everyone took a deep breath. For the other sects, the true monarch of the first level of the world is already the power of the sky. The 3rd layer of the world is pure. If it wasn't for everyone frankly revealing their cards and treasures at the bottom of the box, everyone would have simply surrendered. Oh, how should this be? Sect Master Qian Buchun sighed. The eyes of Tianyinzong sect flickered. As for Ling Zong Qingwei Dao and Qianji Temple Zongmin, they all frowned deeply. At this moment, everyone was in a light mood. After thinking about it for a while, the sect of Qianji Temple encouraged everyone, no matter what, as long as we do our best, even if we win in the end, we will be worthy of Dao Jun and our ancestors. The Valley Master is right. Ling Insect Qingwei Dao stood up and said, Ling Insect Valley, swear to die. Bu Chunluan also said, Wan Xinghai, will never surrender. There is also the Old Tao. The Old Tao's life is near, but I don't want to sit in front of it and bear the infamy of betraying the sect and surrendering to the enemy. Bu Chunlan's sect stroked his beard. My sect Master Qian, I will advance and retreat with you. And I, Bu Chunluan, I will definitely do a good job of responding to you. Bu Chunlan's sect has troubles, and I will let you know as soon as possible, this moment. Everyone put aside their prejudices and vowed to join hands to fight the enemy. But Aoki Ding's mind, split and unanimity is not as complicated as it is said. Blacksmithing has to be its own, so in the end, the dry storage ring and the Chen family can only rely on themselves. Thousand Array City. One after another, the escaped light left the hidden immortal mansion one after another. Aside from Bu Chunlan's sect, Qingmu Ding and Fei Chenxue finally left. In the sky. Qingmu Ding's figure suddenly stopped. He stood side by side with Fei Chenxue, slightly cupped his hands and said, Fellow Daoist Qian, what do you mean? The words fall. A figure suddenly appeared. It was Buchun, the Hall of Thousand Machines. Young Daoist Chen, Fei Zongmen. Qianji Hall's sect court bowed to the two of them. You two really believe in the union of various sects to fight against the suzerain's family and Xiao Yuhua? Qingmu Ding said indifferently, what can you do if you don't believe it? Does the owner of Gugu have a better way? Alas, Qianji Hall Buchun sighed, if there is a better way, they'll look for the two of you to do something. He paused. Tianyinzong can't be trusted. Sect Master Qian and Lingwagu also have their own abacus, but it's a pity the various puppet secret techniques that my ancestors of the Qianji Temple have painstakingly refined will face the pain of cutting off their inheritance. Aoki Ding silently listened to the words of the Qianji Temple sect, but did not say anything. Bu Chunluan, you are also an artifact refiner. I wonder if you are interested in the puppet art of my Thousand Machines Hall? After hesitating for a moment, Aoki Ding nodded, I'm very interested. I knew it, I knew you were interested, ha ha ha. The sect of Qianji Palace laughed. I just had a secret meeting. When you saw my Zong Zong puppet, your eyes almost lit up. Bu Chunluan turned his head, looked at concubine Chenxue beside him, and said, is it so obvious? Yes. Concubine Chen Shui cherishes her words like gold. Since you are interested in the puppet technique of my Qianji temple, I can teach you all of it. Dao Jun inheritance. What about the conditions? Aoki Ding has no blind legal intentions. I need you to make an oath of the Great Way. If my Qianji temple is destroyed by the sect master's family and the Wuji immortal sect, if you enter the transcendence period in the future, I want you to destroy the sect master's family and the Wuji immortal sect. What? Fei Chenxue was startled. Before she could answer Qingmu Ding, she immediately stopped her and said, no. Bu Chun, don't promise him. With that said, Fei Chenxue looked at the sect of Qianji Hall. I can answer for Bu Chun's house, but Wuji Xianmen, absolutely not. Who knows, the Qianji temple sect didn't even look at concubine Chenxue, he stared straight at Qingmu Ding, waiting for his response. A long time. Aoki Ding nodded slowly, okay. I promise you, good. Bu Chun in the Qianji temple was relieved. He first took off the Xianyang sect in his right hand, and then took out the Bu Chun token. I saw that he urged the sect token and cast a spell on the Xianyang sect. In the end, the ban on the Xianyang sect was completely lifted by him. He gently held the Xianyang sect in his hand and looked at the Qingmu Ding, make an oath, heard. Bu Chunluan did not procrastinate, and immediately took the oath of the avenue. With a dull thunder in the sky, the great Tao oath was established. Seeing Qingmu Ding taking the oath of the Great Way, Bu Chun of Qianji Temple immediately sighed in relief. He threw the Xianyang sect in his hand directly towards Qingmu Ding, and cupped his hands, farewell. After all, the figure of the Qianji Temple Zongman disappeared in an instant. Bu Chun, you shouldn't promise him. On the side, Fei Chenxue was very annoyed. The suzerain's family is okay to say, once you become a in the future, situ, you can easily destroy it, but the Wuji Xianmen is different. It is known as the first immortal gate in the Phoenix meteor realm. It is not as it looks on the surface. French meaning. Isn't the Wuji Xianmen not without the heavenly lord of tribulation? Fei Chenxue shook her head, that's not the case. Liangjian has always been rumored that the reason why Wuji Xianmen did not have the birth of Tianzuan is because they didn't want to guard the battlefield outside Liangjian, and deliberately let Chen Lang in the creation realm suppress the realm. Aoki Ding frowned, is there such a thing? Zuanqing didn't care about it that day? What is your honorable city? Fei Chenxue sighed, it's just the product of mutual compromise between the top forces in the Fengyun world. Perhaps for second-rate Daijins and special first-rate Daijins, Tianzuan City is a behemoth. But for the real top forces, Tianzuan City is a mascot and has no deterrent effect. For some reason, when Aoki Ding heard this, he suddenly thought of a famous international organization in his previous life. He couldn't help sighing with emotion, in the end, you have to rely on yourself. Concubine Chenxue wanted to say something, but the oath of the Aoki Ding Dao had already been made. No matter how much she said at this time, it would be meaningless. Now, the only thing they can do is to help the Temple of Thousand Machines not be invaded and destroyed by the suzerain's family. Otherwise, in the future, Qingmu Dinka will have to seek revenge for the sect master and Wuji Xianmen for it, correct? Fei Chenxue paused in her footsteps and looked at Qingmu Ding suspiciously. Qingmu Ding said with a smile, Qianji Hall is obviously a hall, so why call the Gugu Master Bu Chun instead of the Hall Master? Hearing this question, Fei Chenxue smiled and said, this matter is related to Qin Zhan. Back then, Qin Zhan broke through the nascent soul stage and went to visit various sects, and the first stop was the Qianji Temple. At that time, the Valley Master of the Thousand Machines Palace personally received him and learned from him. In that battle, Qin Zhan was lucky enough to win, so he said, you and I are both the palace masters, and it seems that the strength is comparable. At this point, the Hall Master Qian, who felt humiliated, asked others to call him Bu Chunluan. There is still such a thing, Aoki Ding shook his head with a smile, no wonder Bu Chunluan didn't like seeing Qin Zhan so much when he raided the Qin Daoxian faction. It seems that my brother-in-law was also an arrogant and domineering master when he was young. Say as if you're old. Concubine Chinchue rolled her eyes at him. I scolded Qin Zhan for this matter back then, and made him imprison him for 10 years in the sect. Should. After saying that, Aoki Ding hugged Fei Chengshu's slender waist, and disappeared in a flash. The next day, Qingmu Ding and concubine Chinchue, who rushed back to Shuanghu Island, not only came to enjoy the newly married Yener, but also got busy each other in order to defend against the coming powerful enemy. Twin Lakes Island. Qingmu Ding found Yuan Jianzong at the Magical Instrument Research Institute. Seeing the Qingmu Ding suddenly appearing in front of him, Yuan Jianzong was stunned, and immediately cupped his hands. Patriarch, why are you here? No wonder Yuan Jianzong was suspicious. Qingmu Ding Kai and concubine Chinchue just got married, and it should have been a long time ago. Why was he in such a hurry to come to the Magical Instrument Research Institute to find him? Aoki Ding looked at him winking and glared at him. Can't I come? Hee, no, of course not, I can come. I can come. Ignoring Yuan Jianzong, who was smiling and smiling, Qingmu Ding said with a serious expression, Dao Chu, let me ask you, how is the production situation of the sect master and the extraction of the power of creation? Seeing that Aoki Ding was not joking, Bu Chunlin's face also became serious. Patriarch, during this period of time, the 4th level and above item refiners in our Magic Item Research Institute have been refining day and night, and have more than doubled the production line of the sect master. During these days, the sect master has produced more than 2,200 pieces, and the sect master factory is now producing 150 pieces per day. As for the power of creation, due to the relatively short refining time, only more than 60,000 drops have been extracted for the time being. But you are worried. As long as you give us another year, we will definitely be able to refine all the 20 million power of creation. Yuan Jianzong vowed to guarantee the road 1 year. Aoki Ding shook his head. He still has a year left. 3 months later, the Qin Daoxian faction is about to force the palaces of the northwest sects, and then, Wan Xinghai. With the strength of the 3-world realm 3rd layer Qinlang, the 4 Daijins of Spirit Insect Valley, Qianji Temple, Tianyanzong, and Sect Master Qian combined, it is difficult to say whether they can withstand a month. Anyway, Aoki Ding is not optimistic about them. In particular, Tian Yanzong still looks like a piece of shit. Seeing that the situation is not good, the other party is estimated to be the first to surrender to the suzerain. After all, being a dog is better than dying. I only give you 3 months. Bu Chunluan raised 3 fingers to Yuan Jianzong. 3 months later, I want 10 million drops of the power of creation. Hearing this, Yuan Jianzong calculated frantically, and after a while, he raised his head. No problem, 10 million drops of the power of creation in 3 months. Dao Chu, this matter is no trivial matter, it even concerns the future and destiny of my Qin family, please. Bu Chunluan patted the other party's shoulder and said solemnly. There has never been a moment when Aoki Ding spoke to him in such a light tone. At this moment, Yuan Jianzong only felt that he had a heavy burden of hundreds of millions of pounds on his shoulders. He said in a hoarse voice, the patriarch is worried. Dao Chu vowed to die to complete the order. It is good. Leaving Yuan Jianzong aside, Qingmu Ding rushed back to the patriarch's immortal mansion. He now wants to see if the inheritance given to him by the Thousand Machines Palace is as magical as the other party said. Back to Xianfu. Aoki Ding immediately entered the secret room to retreat. Inside the secret room, Bu Chunluan sat cross-legged on the futon, and couldn't wait to open the Xianyang sect, who was sent to him by Gu Gus Master. This is divine consciousness invaded Xianyang sect, and Bu Chunluan saw the insect puppet displayed by Bu Chun in Qianji Temple at first glance. A thought moves. The worm puppet the size of a grinding disc was taken out by him from Xianyang sect. Compared with the ancient worm gold-devouring worm, this worm puppet looks different except for its appearance. The 6th order low-grade insect puppet, the Gu Gu owner gave it to me like this, it's really shy. Bu Chunluan shook his head, I just don't know. What exactly is the power source for this insect puppet? He fiddled with the worm puppet and found nothing. The 6th rank low-grade puppet is indeed a bit high for Qingmu Ding, who is only a 4th-rank high-grade refiner. Since Aoki Ding has no worries about cultivating resources, he has completely slackened his skills in weapon refining and alchemy. Because whether it is a medicinal pill or a magic weapon, he can obtain it through the power of the family, and he does not need to refine it himself. Although he is blessed with the ability to store his understanding in the Hongmeng Enlightenment Classic, he can quickly improve the rank of an artifact refiner, but he has no real needs, and no matter how blessed he has no interest in improving artifact refining and alchemy techniques. Chapter 452. Time flies. In the blink of an eye, 3 months have passed. Twin Lakes Island. A secret room in the Patriarch's immortal mansion. Chen Daoxian scrutinized the newly refined insect puppet in front of him, and his face was full of joy. In 3 months, the refinement level has been raised from the 4th level high level to the 6th level low level. My speed is unprecedented. Slightly proud, Chen Daoxian packed up his mood and turned to look at the insect puppet in front of him. The worm puppet in front of him is almost identical to the worm puppet presented to him by the Thousand Machines Hall sect master. This is also the only kind of worm puppet developed by the puppet masters of the Thousand Machines Hall through all their hard work. Its inspiration comes from the gold-devouring worms in the Spirit Insect Valley. Speaking of which, although the gold-devouring worms in the Spirit Insect Valley have amazing potential, they will not actually play much role in the next battle against the Siddhi family. Because this worm is only a larva, it is still very far from the mature stage. In the short term, it is unlikely to threaten the 3rd layer Dao Jun of the world realm. The worm puppet in the Thousand Machines Hall is different. This kind of worm puppet in the Hall of Thousand Machines is a brand new worm-shaped puppet. It only needs a little spirituality to turn it into a Taoist soldier, and it has the ability to devour evolution. This means that Chen Daoxian only needs to spend a few tenths of his spirituality to obtain a worm-shaped Taoist soldier, and the price/performance ratio is many times higher. Originally, 20 million drops of the power of creation could only buy 40 Taoist soldiers at most, but when they were replaced by insect-shaped soldiers, the number would have skyrocketed dozens of times. Moreover, the horror of the gold-devouring worms lies not in the individual combat power, but in their overwhelming numbers. Once the gold-devouring worm has formed a certain scale, its combat power will increase exponentially. In this way, 10 million drops of the power of creation are enough to create a swarm of nearly 10,000 insects. Chen Daoxian clenched his fists, and it's still a swarm of 1-star Dao soldiers. What is the concept of nearly 100% star soldiers? Although the worm-shaped Dao soldiers are not like human-shaped Dao soldiers, they can form a formation, but the insect swarm is born with the characteristics that the more the number, the stronger the combat power. Comparing the two, it is not necessarily inferior to the formation of humanoid soldiers. Thinking of this, Chen Daoxian counted the time and stood up solemnly. It seems that it is too late to build the insect puppet production line. Say it. Chen Daoxian's figure instantly disappeared in the secret room. Chen Family Dharma Instrument Research Institute. During this period of Chen Daoqiu, because of Chen Daoxian's entrustment, his busy feet did not touch the ground. When Chen Daoxian was standing behind him, he didn't even realize it, and was still directing everyone to refine the Aoki Ding production line. Seeing how busy his red eyes were, Chen Daoxian coughed lightly. Cough cough. Hearing the coughing sound, Chen Daoqiu was startled, turned his head, and said in surprise, "Patriarch, are you out?" "Well, we're out." Chen Daoxian nodded. "This time, it's been hard for you." "It's not hard," Chen Daoqiu shook his head. "Compared to you, the Patriarch, what Daoqiu did is trivial." "Okay, don't be humble, you can overcomplete the task in such a short time, I know it's not easy for you." Hearing this, Chen Daoqiu was no longer humble. During this period of time, in order to complete the task Chen Daoxian explained on time, Chen Daoqiu did everything he could. If Chen Daoxian had not married his own sect master, these fourth-order refiners in Chenyuan Jianzong's refining hall would have wished to kill Chen Daoqiu alive. Although Chen Daoxian hadn't seen Chen Daoqiu's achievements, his consciousness had already covered Shuanghu Island, and he saw the Qingmu Ding factory, which was specially used to refine the power of creation. There are 16 such factories in the Shuanghu Island experimental zone. Moreover, in each factory, there are more than 20,000 green wooden cauldrons. It is conceivable that during this period of time, Chen Daochu pressed the high-level refiners of the refinery hall. How brutal it was. Patriarch, this is the power of creation you want, and it's all here. With that said, Chen Daochu handed over a storage ring. Chen Daoxian swept his consciousness and immediately discovered that the power of creation in the storage ring was not only 10 million drops, but more than 14 million drops. Seeing this scene, Chen Daoxian was overjoyed. You must know that for the current Chen Daoxian, every time you increase the power of good fortune, you can buy a few more Taoist squads and a few more spirituality, thus increasing the hope of fighting against the Situ family. Chen Daoxian did not pay attention to the 3 Yuanshan Daojun sent by the Situ family and Xiao Yuhua. But the ancestor of the Situ family had Chen Daoxian stuck in his throat. Daojun on the 5th floor of the world, even if it is placed in Liangjiuan, he is still a big man, far from being able to provoke Chen Daoxian, who is not even a Daojun. Even though Chen Daoxian has various plug-in blessings, it is no doubt that he wants to break through to the level of the 5th layer Daojun of the world realm in a short time. For Chen Daoxian, the only way to close the gap between the two sides in a short period of time is to use Dao soldiers. Originally, Chen Daoxian planned to frantically refine the power of good fortune, and then buy a team of Dao soldiers to enhance the strength of the Chen family and Chen Yuan Jianzong. But he didn't expect that the 1,000 Machines Palace gave him a big surprise. The appearance of the worm puppet made Chen Daoxian realize that he only needed to pay a few tenths of the price to have a stronger Taoist soldier. This undoubtedly greatly enhanced his confidence in fighting against the Situ family and even the Wuji immortal sect. Especially things like worm puppets, once combined with the Chen family's magical machine tool, can burst out unimaginable power. Seeing the insect puppet, Chen Daoxian had a faint idea in his heart about the idea of building the Xianhuang realm in the future. As a small world opened up by Chen Daoxian, Xuanwangji is still a barren land. But as he stepped into the 3rd floor of the world realm, after nurturing vitality in the Xianhuang realm, he was able to expand the scope of the Xianhuang realm by devouring the power of good fortune. At that time, Xuanwangji will become a great helper of Chen Daoxian. It is no longer like before, it can only be provided with the blessing of the power of the world during the battle. This is also the reason why Daijin's strength has substantially improved after breaking through to the 3rd layer of the world. Here you go. Chen Daoxian patted Chen Daochu's shoulder hard. At this moment, his mood was completely relaxed. With this power of good fortune, the 3 primordial spirit Daijins sent by the Situ family and Xiao Yuhua were nothing to worry about. Immediately, Chen Daoxian changed his words and said, "By the way, how is the progress of the construction of the teleportation array sent by Tianyanzong?" "It's been fixed." Chen Daochu said quickly, "It's just that the area of Shuanghu Island is too small and there are many important buildings. I ordered them to build the teleportation array on Sequoia Island." "Sequoia Island?" Chen Daoxian nodded. Sequoia Island is only a few hundred kilometers away from Shuanghu Island, just outside the door. Speaking of which, this is the first space teleportation formation owned by the Chen family. It's not that the Chen family doesn't have the money to build a space teleportation array, but the construction of the teleportation array requires not only resources, but also enough background for the force. In short, Chen Daoxian wanted the Chen family and the Southern Immortal Territory to have a teleportation array that could connect with each other. This requires that the forces of the Southern Immortal Domain promise to establish contact with the Chen family. Otherwise, it would be meaningless to unilaterally build a teleportation array. Unless Chen Daoxuan's teleportation array is only built inside Wanxinghai and Izumo, and does not communicate with the outside world. But in this way, it is no different from self-closing. In fact, in the northwest frontier, except for the Tianyan sect, most of the other sects are relatively closed. Although they also have teleportation formations in their respective sects, very few of them have contact with the outside world. For example, Qianyuan Jianzong, the teleportation arrays it has are all connected to their own internal territories, and none of them are connected to external forces. This is basically the same for the other sections. Except for Tianyenzong and Qianji Temple. Tianyenzong is good at the way of formation, and the formation master wants to earn resources. In addition to selling various array instruments, he must also arrange various formations for other sect forces. What Guardian formation, space teleportation formation and so on. But these formations are only needed by the big forces, so this requires Tianyenzong to take the initiative to go out. The situation of Qianji Temple is basically the same. They need to sell various puppets to the outside world. The market share of the northwestern sects is too small, so they naturally want to open up markets in other regions of Xianyan continent. As a result, Tianyenzong and Qianji Temple have frequent contact with the outside world, which is quite normal. Let's go and have a look together. After all, without waiting for Chen Daochu to refuse, Chen Daoxian waved his hand, and the two figures instantly disappeared in place. Sequoia Island. Chen Daoxuan's figure appeared again, and he had already set foot in Guanhai Xiancheng. Compared with when it was first built, Guanhai Xiancheng is now a giant fairy city with a population of nearly 10 million. Although compared with the immortal city of Yuanshan Immortal City with a population of tens of millions, there is still a very big gap. But compared to Zhangzhou and the immortal cities in the surrounding states, it is already the top immortal city. It's so lively. Chen Daoxian sighed with emotion as he looked at the streets full of people walking into the weaving beside him. Hearing the emotion of the patriarch, Chen Daochu nodded in agreement. Yes, the Guanhai Xiancheng today is the most lively Xiancheng in Zhangzhou, and it is also the economic center of the entire Zhangzhou. Speaking of this, Chen Daochu seemed to think of something and smiled. Chen Daolian complained before that this Sequoia Island is too small to be developed. As the largest island with a radius of thousands of miles, it was actually called small by Chen Daolian. It can be seen that the development speed of Guanhai Xiancheng is really amazing. But this is also normal. Now that the Chen family and Qianyuan Jianzong have merged, Chen Daoxian has replaced Fei Chenxue faintly and become the co-owner of Qianyuan Jianzong and Chen family. After this series of changes, the status of the Chen family naturally rose again. In the past, everyone feared the Chen family because of the existence of Chen Daoxian. Now everyone is in awe of the Chen family, not only because of Chen Daoxian, but also because of Fei Chenxue and the Qianyuan sword sect behind her. Although the outside world has questioned countless times, the Chen family and Qianyuan Jianzong will eventually fight, and Wan Xinghai will also fall into civil strife. But the situation did not develop in the direction they imagined, but the Chen family and Qianyuan Jianzong merged together step by step. Hearing this, Chen Daoxian could imagine the scene of Chen Daolian complaining. He smiled. Sequoia Island is too small, you can move an island with no one around and make it into a bigger island. The patriarch said yes. Chen Daochu smiled and nodded. Although it was just a simple test, Chen Daochu already knew that the patriarch had no intention of relocating the clan. Chen Daolian complained that it was not because Sequoia Island was too small. In fact, for a nascent soul family like the Chen family, the island is too small, so it is enough to move the mountains and reclaim the sea to build a bigger one. What Chen Daolian really complained about was the lack of resources in Wan Xinghai. Compared with Xian Yunsu, Wang Xinghai is simply a wild place. Now that Qianyuan Jianzong has won the Izumo country, the Chen family can completely place the clan in the Izumo country. With the strength of the Chen family, I found a clan land in the Spirit Mountain in the Izumo country. I believe that no family force in the Izumo country would dare to give up this spiritual vein. This is the strength of the Chen family. As for the ancestral property here on Shuanghu Island, the Chen family will not give up. Just build a teleportation array to connect the new clan land with Shuanghu Island, and the problem can be solved. But when I saw it today, the patriarch had no intention of migrating to the clan at all. Knowing Chen Daoxuan's attitude, Chen Daochu stopped talking. After all, migrating to tribal land is a big deal, and it involves all kinds of interests. In the Chen family, only Chen Daoxian has this prestige and can move to the clan with a single order. Certainly. From the perspective of the Chen family, it is definitely a good thing to migrate the clan from Shuanghu Island to Izumo. Although Izumo country is located in the northwest frontier, it is in the Xianyun continent after all, and its resources are much richer than the Wangxinghai Sea area. Although the Chen family does not lack cultivation resources, there are some rare spiritual minerals and medicines that Wangxinghai cannot buy even if they have spiritual stones. At this point, it is doomed that Wangxinghai and Xianyunsu cannot be compared. Chen Daoxian glanced at Chen Daochu and said nothing. Of course Chen Daoxian knew what Chen Daolian and his clans meant. If there was no accident, Chen Daoxian did plan to open a new clan land in the Izumo country. But not right now. Because Izumo is too close to the Qingwei Taoist sect, and now the Qingwei Taoist sect still has 3 Yuanshan Taoists entrenched. His Chen family is in a hurry to move the clan to Izumo, so why not turn on the lantern in the toilet and seek death? According to Chen Daoxuan's calculations. When the March period came, the first thing that the Qingwei Taoist sect had to deal with was the 4 sects that were relatively close, not the Chen family and Chenyuan sword sect in Wangxinghai. Not surprisingly, Chenyuan Jianzong and Chen family should be the last ones the other party wants to win. If it were Xiao Yuhua, he would definitely choose to invade Wangxinghai and the Emperor Yubel. But now Xiao Yuhua has invited the Situ family as foreign aid. With the strength of the Situ family, Xiao Yuhua will definitely not be led by the nose. With the style of the Situ family, he will definitely fight steadily, and gradually bring all kinds of Northwest into complete control, and this is the way to do Wangxinghai. After all, the ban on Tianzuan city is still there. Xiao Yuhua can be willful, but the Situ family cannot. Steady and steady, bit by bit nibbling away at the Northwest sects, and Wangxinghai is the safest way. The two walked slowly on the street. Soon, the two came to the place where Tianyinzong Array Mage helped build the teleportation array. This teleportation array is a lot smaller than the giant teleportation array in Liangjiuan, but it is not much different from the teleportation array in Thousand Formation City. Sent to the array. The array mage of Tianyinzong is debugging this teleportation array. Peripheral. The cultivators of the Chen family stood in a row, blocking off the onlookers. Through the crowd, Chen Daoxian saw a familiar figure. Chapter 453. Nascent Soul Monk, Chen Fusheng. That's right. With the help of Xing Yuandan, Chen Fusheng finally became the second monk of the Chen family to break through to the nascent soul period after Chen Daoxian. Now, Chen Fusheng was shrouding the surroundings faintly with his divine sense, and he looked at the crowd with high vigilance. Until he saw Chen Daoxian. Patriarch. Chen Fusheng's voice suddenly sounded in Chen Daoxuan's sea of consciousness. Well, how is the construction of the teleportation array? Patriarch, the teleportation formation was successfully built a month ago, and now the formation masters of Tianyinzong are debugging the formation. Debugging? Chen Daoxian thought for a while. You mean, determine the space anchor of the teleportation? Yes. Chen Fusheng nodded. Tianyinzong is worthy of being a sect known for its formation, and the space anchors recorded in their sect are very rich. Not only in Zhongzhou, but they have teleportation anchors in the Southern Immortal Territory, the Western Immortal Territory and the Eastern Immortal Territory. There was a hint of excitement in Chen Fusheng's tone. These teleportation anchor points may be nothing to first-class forces such as Top Sect and Wuji Xianmen. But for a second-rate force, it is very precious. Especially for these second-rate sects in the northwest frontier. Like Chenyuan Jianzong, in terms of strength, it is by no means weaker than Tianyinzong, but there is no space teleportation array in their sect that communicates with the outside world. Even when they responded to Tianzuan City's call and rushed to help Liangjiuan, they all traveled to the capital of Su Kingdom by Tianyinzong teleportation array. Just when Chen Daoxian was about to say something, the teleportation pattern in front of him suddenly lit up. Immediately after, A figure instantly appeared on the teleportation array. Chen Daoxian took a closer look and saw that it was none other than his newlywed Taoist partner, concubine Chen Xue. Share. Chen Daoxian's figure flashed and appeared in front of Fei Chen Xue. When Fei Chen Xue saw Chen Daoxian, her face was happy at first, but then her pretty face became serious again. What's wrong? Chen Daoxian couldn't help but ask. Qingwei Dao has dispatched troops. Chen Daoxian frowned. Who is the target? Tian Yenzong or? Fei Chen Xue shook her head. It's the Hall of Thousand Machines. What? Chen Daoxian's mood suddenly became very heavy. Among the four major sects, Zhuanyangzong, Tianyangzong, Qianji Temple, and Spirit Insect Valley, what Chen Daoxian cared about most was Qianji Temple. Because he made an oath of the Great Way in order to obtain the inheritance of the sect of Qianji Temple. If the Temple of Thousand Machines were destroyed in this battle, he would have to shoulder the burden of revenge for them. And the object of Chen Daoxian's revenge is not only the Situ family, but also the unfathomable Wuji Xianmen. Be honest. Chen Daoxian had been to the capital of Su Kingdom and saw the tip of the iceberg of the power of Wuji Xianmen. If it is not necessary, he does not want to confront this force directly. Although he and Xiao Yuhua of Wuji Xianmen have formed a cause and effect, this does not mean that Chen Daoxian will fight to the end with Wuji Xianmen. It's two different things. There are many ways for Chen Daoxian to get rid of Xiao Yuhua. The most obvious way is to kill him on the extraterritorial battlefield of Liangjian. The extraterritorial battlefield is the place where the two worlds meet. Countless world monsters and human race cultivators fought there, which could be called an Azura field. There, the death of a third-level Daoist of the world realm is no different from the death of an ant, and it will not cause the slightest disturbance. Even if Wuji Xianmen knew that Xiao Yuhua died there, they would not investigate how the other party died. Unless Chen Daoxian did a dirty job when he beheaded the opponent and was seen by other monks. But Chen Daoxian has come over so many years, not to mention how ruthless, at least he will deal with one or two monks who are not as strong as himself, and there will be no problems at all. Where's the Xianyang sect? Didn't they say that they wanted to act as an inner responder and deliver news for us? Humph. Zhuanyangzong is a sloppy sect, saying that it is delivering news for us, but in fact, it was only passed on to us when the Qingwei Daoist army invaded the sphere of influence of the Qianji Temple. Moreover, he still used the tone of surrender, for fear of being discovered by the Qingwei Daoist faction to have something to do with us. Hear this. Chen Daoxian's eyelids jumped slightly, and then he shook his head. Ignore it for now, Xue, I have something to explain to you. My husband ordered it. Concubine Chen Xuefu bowed her head, raised her head, and said sternly. I'm going to go out and buy Taoist soldiers to defend against the Qingwei Taoist faction. I don't know how long it will take to come back from this trip, but I will definitely come back as soon as possible. He gently supported Fei Chengshu's shoulder. While I'm not at home, I'll leave everything here to you. Remember, don't be impulsive. Even if the four major sects ask you for help, you don't need to pay attention. As long as you keep yourself, the final victory will definitely belong to us. Fei Chenxue nodded heavily. The Qingwei Daoist faction now has 3 Daijins in charge, and the attack on the Qianji Temple must be like a broken bamboo. Even if this battle dragged on a little longer, a month would be enough for the Qingwei Taoist faction to capture the entire territory of the Qianji Temple. The 4 major sects add up, that is, 4 months, no, Xianyangzong can't be counted, and only 3 months. In other words, 3 months from now, the Chen family and Chen Yuan Jianzong will likely face the Qingwei Taoist faction with 3 Yuanshan Taoists. Chen Daoxian finished explaining. He didn't even care about explaining Chen Fusheng. He flew directly to the center of the teleportation array, and said to the Tianyangzong cultivator who was playing with the teleportation array, "I'm going to the capital of Su Kingdom in Zhongzhou." "Yes, Your Majesty." A Tianyangzong Zifu cultivator handed over his hands, and was about to activate the formation for Chen Daoxian. Just as the teleportation patterns flickered, Chen Daoxian remembered something, and quickly took off the bronze bracelet on his hand, performed the imperial object technique, and made it fly towards the concubine Chenxue. After taking the bronze bracelet, only one sentence echoed in Fei Chengshu's ears. "If you can't go wrong, run." Fei Chenxue just wanted to answer, but found that the teleportation array shone with a burst of light. The next moment, Chen Daoxuan's figure had disappeared. Looking at the empty teleportation formation, Fei Chenxue smiled and said to herself, "Run? This is my home, where should I run?" Zhongzhou, the capital of Su State. After less than a year, Chen Daoxian came back here again. Only this time, he was carrying huge sums of money. Nearly 15 million drops of the power of creation gave Chen Daoxian unprecedented confidence. At the beginning, he drooled when he saw the treasures in Chuanbao Pavilion, but the treasures he couldn't afford to buy would be all his in the near future. Of course, Chen Daoxian has not forgotten what is most important to him at this moment. Not to buy treasures, but to buy Dao soldiers to defend against powerful enemies. If there was no threat from the Situ family and Xiao Yuhua, Chen Daoxian would definitely use this huge sum to improve his own strength. But now the speed of increasing strength is too slow. Even if he uses Tianhua Yulu to raise his soul to the threshold that can break through the primordial spirit stage, does he still have a physical body that he has not passed? The indestructible real body that Chen Daoxian cultivated was the real body of Zhu Rong. Although this kind of real power is strong, the consumption of resources and energy is also very amazing. Over the years, Chen Daoxian has used the fire of the devil to refine the body-refining resources, but the fire of the devil is still stuck on the edge of transformation and cannot move. Chen Daoxian couldn't help but wonder, can body-refining resources really help the transformation of demon god's fire? If the fire of the devil can't transform, doesn't it mean that his Zhu Rong real body will never succeed in cultivation? Thinking of this, Chen Daoxian became inexplicably irritable. Unsuccessful cultivation, coupled with the presence of strong enemies, made Chen Daoxuan's Dao heart unable to resist waves. Forget it, no matter what, let's solve the immediate crisis first. Shaking his head, Chen Daoxian summoned an escape shuttle and flew towards the location of the Chuanbao Pavilion. Soon, Chuanbao Pavilion has arrived. After getting off the escape shuttle, Chen Daoxian walked into the Chuanbao Pavilion. Perhaps Chen Daoxian was an old customer. The first time he set foot in the Chuanbao Pavilion, the fairy in Nishang who had received him came to him. Chen Daoxian, who knew the identity of fairy Nishang, was not surprised by her arrival. "Fellow Daoist, we meet again." Chen Daoxian bowed his hands. Fairy Nishang blessed her with a salute. "Young Dao Yu Chen is polite." After a pause, she continued, "I don't know what Dao Yu Chen came to buy this time." "Dao soldier." Chen Daoxian said bluntly, "There is also information about the Situ family." Compared with Xiao Yuhua, the direct disciple of Wuji Xianmen, Chen Daoxian was more worried about the power of the Situ family. As one of the few vassals of Wuji Xianmen, the Situ family is very powerful. Chen Daoxian didn't know how many Yuanshan Daijins the Situ family had, but he knew that when the Situ family's ancestor showed his strength in Liangjian for the last time, he was already a world-level 5th layer Daojun. This is where Chen Daoxian feels the most pressure. The Daojun of the 5th layer of the world is far from being able to compete with him now. Even if he breaks through to the primordial spirit stage now, it will be of no use. Now that he has broken through to the Yuanshan stage, he is only a second-level Daoist of the world realm. Even if he is extremely talented, he can raise the Dao realm to the 3rd layer of the world realm in one fell swoop when he breaks through the Yuanshan stage. That is just Xiao Yua's strength level, and he is still far from the 5th level Dao Jun of the world realm. When Fairy Nishang heard Chen Daoxuan's request, she still kept an indifferent smile on her face, and said, "Of course, the intelligence of the Situ family is worth 500,000 points of fortune." As for Taoist soldiers, Chen Taoist does not know what Taoist soldiers to buy. 5,000? Chen Daoxian was shocked. It's not that he can't afford the power of creation, but he is shocked by the strength of the Situ family. Originally, he wanted to come even if the Situ family had a Taoist on the 5th floor of the world, it would not be so strong. Just one piece of information is worth 500,000 points of fortune, enough for him to buy a brand new Taoist team. Okay. I want this information. Chen Daoxian nodded. As for the Taoist soldiers, do you have a Creation Realm Taoist soldiers here? Creation Realm Dao soldier. Fairy Nishang stopped for a moment. Dao Yuchen means 6-star Taoist soldiers? Right. This. I'm sorry, I really don't have such treasures for sale in my Chuanbao pavilion. The powerhouses in the creation realm are all beings who can create things out of thin air and create life. The strength of Taoist soldiers has reached this level, and it is also is one of the most powerful. Which force in the two worlds can sell such a strong man at will? These words, the stunned Chen Daoxian was speechless. Yes, Taoist soldiers are also lives. They are definitely different from puppets. They have souls, emotions, and wisdom. Even if there is a Taoist soldier whose strength reaches the realm of creation, how can he be restrained only by the formation inscribed before the Enlightenment? Thinking of this, Chen Daoxian simply stopped talking about the 6-star Taoist soldier. Then what is the highest number of Taoist soldiers that your Chuanbao pavilion can sell? 5 stars. Fairy Nishang said with a smile. Okay, I bought it. This time, Fairy Nishang was frightened by Chen Daoxuan's amazing aura, and hesitantly said, Fellow Daoist Chen, the price of this 5-star Taoist soldier is extraordinary, you. How many? 100 million power of creation, or 100,000 spirituality. Chen Daoxian was so choked that he couldn't say a word. After a long while, he rolled his throat and said, I take the liberty to ask, what is the price of the pure yang immortal artifact sold by your pavilion? Although the pure yang immortal artifact is an immortal artifact, in essence, it is only a higher-level magical artifact, and there are huge differences between the pure yang immortal artifacts, so the prices are not the same. But in my Chuanbao pavilion, the cheapest pure yang immortal artifact requires 10 million points of good fortune. Call. Chen Daoxian took a deep breath. The price of a pure yang immortal artifact is actually less than that of a 5-star Taoist soldier, which Chen Daoxian never expected. The price of a 1-star Taoist soldier is not expensive, with less than 100,000 fortune-telling powers. As for the 5-star Taoist soldiers, the price has skyrocketed by 1,000 times. But thinking of the strength gap between the two, Chen Daoxian felt that the price was quite conscientious. Speaking of which, the 6th-order magic weapon and even the 7th-order magic weapon are of the younger brother level compared with the Taoist soldiers. Dao soldiers are the things that the real big dogs play. This thing does not have enough background, I dare not touch it. There are so many sects in the northwestern border of Xianyun continent, and none of them have Dao soldiers in command. It can be seen that this is not something that ordinary sects can afford. If Chen Daoxian hadn't mastered the method of mass-producing Qingmu Ding, he would not have been so inflated to ask the price of the 5-star Taoist soldiers. Seeing the embarrassment on Chen Daoxuan's face, Fairy Nishang didn't make fun of it. In fact, Chen Daoxian was able to accept the sale of 500,000 points of good fortune, and Fairy Nishang had completely raised Chen Daoxuan's status to the VIP level in her heart. For example, Xiao Yuhua of Wuji Xianmen, his status is high enough, but let alone asking him to use 500,000 drops of the power of good fortune, now it is enough to ask him to use 100,000 drops of the power of good fortune. It can be seen that Chen Daoxuan's business of 500,000 drops of the power of creation in one bite has had a great impact on Fairy Nishang. Now, she is more and more convinced that Chen Daoxian is the core disciple of the top force, and he is also the most favored bloodline of Heavenly Venerate. Otherwise, it really doesn't make sense. A cultivator whose strength is only at the nascent soul stage can come up with this huge sum of money. Of course, she wouldn't have any crooked thoughts. Chuanbao Pavilion asked Taoist soldiers to sell it to prevent the human race monks from handling large-scale transactions, which would be malicious to customers and destroy the signboard of Chuanbao Pavilion. When Dao soldiers come to sell, there is no such concern. As a kind of puppet life, Tao's soldiers do not have the extraterritorial greed. Compared with the human race monks, their minds are very pure. You're tuning into the Passion Pages YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.